So noting the time and the point of the quorum, I call the Boxborough Finance Committee meeting to order. It is March the 10th and it is 7 p.m. And just for the minutes, I'll say we have John Grieven, Michelle Ryan, Joe Stolpin, Maria Nayland, John Connor and Tony Newton. Also we have Rebecca Werner of the Planning Board and Alec Wade, the Town Planner, to talk to us. We have Hong Hwa Lee, we have Gary Kushner, our clerk, and I see Susan Back is online as well.
From Hawaii.
Oh, she's in Hawaii.
I'm pretty impressed, Susan. That's dedication.
Good morning.
Okay, so first up then is the Planning Board and Town Planner. So thanks for coming. We just wanted to come sort of go through your budget. If you can just sort of talk us through it maybe and what's in the budget and what's changed since last year. That would be helpful, I think.
And the articles too.
And articles, yeah. I mean, yeah, planning articles, yeah, that'd be good, yeah. So I'm going to share what's in the budget right now, just so we have a quick overview of that. We're talking about where's planner? 174, 175. So that is so non-salary 174, 12665, and salary 380. So that'd be Alec's department, and then we have for 393, and then we have 5400 in the planning board budget line at the moment. Is that what you have?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
We reduced it from $7,500 from last year, just knowing that there's a bunch of articles that were on the table for this year, so.
Right. Okay. Do you want to just talk through the sort of the line items in there, or is that, you know?
The line items.
Yeah.
Do we have those?
It's
I can
pretty
get them up.
straightforward.
Yeah.
We have $7,100 for possible consultant fees,
Okay.
and then we have. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Say that again?
$5,000.
5,000. Okay.
For consulting fees, reduced from last year's $7,100.
Right.
And then we have other expenses, basically, of $400 on that line.
Okay.
And, you know, the planning board has some things that they're thinking about using the consulting fees for, being getting meets and bounds for each of the zoning districts, brought up to speed in GIS. That's one discussion point. There's been a discussion about updating regulations associated with the Aquifer Protection District regulations. There's also been discussions about the work that's being done in and around town center district and or a historic district in town.
Okay.
So can you go back to the second one? The second thing that you talked about doing?
Protection? Yeah.
So how much does that?
We don't have estimates for it. These are just been discussion topics that
Okay.
we've had amongst the board members. And there's probably something that I'm missing too, but these are just possible things that we might spend the money on this year.
Okay.
This money honestly is very small amount when you're thinking about a consultant.
Well, that's why I was asking.
That's
That
why.
seems like not much money for something like that in particular.
I totally agree with you 100%. We just wanted to make a good faith gesture towards the town. I think that if this stuff does go forward, I believe FinCom made a commitment to finding some monies for us if we have an estimate for you that you can actually get your teeth around. We don't have anything like that at this point, but I think the last time we came forward for some consulting fees, that was a discussion point, so that's something that we'd love to hear from you about a little bit more.
Yeah, so it would
Yeah, I
be
think-
unanticipated, right?
Well, I think it wasn't a discussion. We didn't want to put money into the budget for just blanket purposes. We wanted to have more specifics around something which we can then talk about. So what is happening is the right thing, I guess, in the sense it's a small amount which won't cover much, but if you need to do something more substantial, you have to come back and either do a warrant article, I suppose.
Right, and warrant articles, so,
yeah.
right, that's what I was thinking. But
Yeah.
what we were saying is that something came up, so let's say another developer came into town, I'm just pretending,
Sure.
and they buy 100 acres of land, where I don't know. And you need a consultant, and that's gonna go over your $5,000, because there's a site plan in front of you. That's something we could do through a reserve fund transfer,
Yeah.
because that's
That's probably what
right,
we discussed
right,
during-
versus, you know, like, these are ideas we're thinking about using for
Yeah.
the money for, but you
Yeah.
almost gotta prioritize that, to use that
Well,
money.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
you just want to get away from this idea of having money there which then flows back into free cash at the end of the
Right.
year and it hasn't been used. That's the challenge for us.
Yeah.
But make sure we can resource you as you need to be resourced for things that are
I think that makes
specific.
a lot of sense,
Yeah.
honestly, because we don't know what we don't know
Right.
is coming down the pipe for
Right.
us.
Right,
So,
yeah.
and there's a number of things that we've had to.
Push the microphone
Oh,
closer to
sorry.
Rebecca. I'm sorry, I just got a
No.
text that said, I can't hear
I'm
Rebecca.
usually projecting pretty well, so, but yeah, there's a number of things that, we just don't know until we see an
Right.
application come forward, so whether it's traffic studies, you know, extra, you know, study of some conservation land, whatever it is, it's excellent to have a resource
Right.
available
Yeah.
should things come up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So the consulting line should be 5,000, because in ClearCover right now it says 2,000 for consulting line.
Is that what it says?
No, I got 5,000,
5,000
right?
400.
Hold on, let me look.
I'm in ClearGov, FY '27 in progress, consultant services, 17452, 5,200, says 2,000 down 1,000 from last year's 3,000.
174 is land permitting. You gotta go to planning board, which is 175,
Okay,
and that's the one that's 5,000.
yep, got it.
Yep.
I think, Joe, what you're looking at is my department's.
Yes.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, sorry, I had the wrong number there. I see it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right, so we're all in agreement on the budget. Excellent. We're trying,
Okay.
we're avoiding this with everybody. We're sort of doing this with everybody, not just you guys. We're trying to avoid what, you know, any kind of uh-oh on town floor.
Okay, so Alec, how about your budgets? Should we go through yours and what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go line by line with the budget, or do you just want to talk about any significant?
I think the big things, yeah.
Well, so I'll note, you know, as we've discussed in the past, when I submit budgets, I submit a variety of budgets for a variety of boards and committees. I'd say most notable, the increases are seen in the Board of Health budget, but those are also fixed costs based on our regional shared services agreement through the Neshoba Regional Board of Health.
Yeah.
In that regard, we saw an increase both in the environmental services as well as the nursing services, which those are the direct staff support we receive from Jim Gareffi and from our public health nurse. Additionally, there was a change in the landfill monitoring as well. That's a bit of an uptick specifically because we previously hadn't been required to keep up to current standards. Jim has a very good process that he's done in the past, but recent feedback from Mass DEP is that as we're now doing landfill monitoring, we do need to come up to higher and better standards. So we have a one-time increase that we have to do this year. We're getting up to that, and then you'll see it's reflected in future years as we have a moderate increase from there. So we're doing an initial survey this year that's not reflected in the budget because it's underway in the current fiscal year, but that's an additional one-year cost only for current times, and this will be the more current number you see on a year-to-year basis.
I'm just bring up to the Board of Health now, actually.
While you do that, can you check, Alec, and see if that microphone's on? Because the second person has texted me and said they can't hear you. So is the microphone on?
There it is. Is now.
Sophie?
Yep.
Was it on before?
Yeah, with the
Okay.
microphone, so somebody forgot to plug in the batteries last
Okay.
night, so I could charge it a little bit. I have somebody coming in with fresh batteries in like 2 minutes, so.
Can you just have that microphone? Yeah, because we don't have an audience,
Yeah.
so.
Hello?
I mean, I don't care, it's for TV land, but they can't hear you. Ours works.
Yeah, your guys. Actually, I'll hit it.
Sorry. And now a third person just thanked me for dealing with the microphones. Apparently, we have an audience that's not actually signed in.
We're on TV.
You guess so.
Yep, you have some batteries.
Batteries have arrived.
Batteries others have like others.
Is there anything else?
Right now.
They were, the thing wasn't put in such for charge.
Oh, good God.
We'll find out.
Alec, what is the monitoring number now? It used to be 5,000 years for the monitoring of the dump.
In the landfill?
Landfill, sorry. PC term.
I see 15,800 in Clearglow, 15,800.
That's correct, 15,800.
Okay, I see it. Wow, it's gonna go up then.
And it's one time?
No, there's an additional, so in addition to the 15,800, there's a 1-year cost that we've currently incurred to do a survey of the
Okay.
landfill itself. 15,800 will be the recurring cost moving forward.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And-
again, these are requirements set by Mass DEP. We've frankly been lucky that we have not been having to spend this much to date, but Jim has a great rapport with them and he's done great work.
So what is, can you just, so I understand what exactly that is? Is it a body? Is it a person? Is it a machine? What is it that
It's-
monitors it? I'm wondering.
It's a contractual services agreement
Okay.
by which professional consultants, so normally Jim does a reduced version of this reporting requirement
Okay.
himself, but due to the increased demands by Mass DEP, or I should say the need to come up to those standards, he now has to sub that work out through Time and Bond Consulting Services Group.
Okay.
And through that, they'll be doing additional sampling, and of course, there's an upcharge because now there's a services group doing work.
And that's gonna be what the number looks like going forward?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry people can't hear us at home, but we can't stop everything. We have to kind of keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah. Okay, and then you did go through this, the line above that, which is the the Board of Health agent, that is increased, just,
By 30%, yes.
yeah, it's just a contractual increase.
Yes, so Neshoba Regional Boards of Health is going through a process now where they're evaluating their own positions. We had seen an increase, more moderate of an increase than this last year, and we expected something similar, but due to pending retirements or hopeful pending retirements, they are doing a larger increase so that they can do a more comprehensive search for their executive director.
Right, okay. And the same goes for the nurse, it looks like, as well, it's gone up by 30%.
That's correct. Both
Yeah.
of those are bundled under our shared services
Yeah.
agreement with Neshoba Regional Boards of Health, and so both feel the 30% increase.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, and then your budget is 174, right, is that right?
Yeah, 174.
Let me grab that one up. Okay. So, there's some big decreases here, this is good.
Yes, so with the personnel, you know, our department has built out its personnel in recent years.
Yeah.
And with some changes in contracts, we did reflect back in some of the expense accounts, looking back pretty intensively the last 3 or 4 years of what we have and have not spent. And we cut where we could, just to come even with that and try and do our best to stay within, I think it was that 2 to 2.5% range that we were targeting. You know, we found certain areas, for example, the consulting services, we had not used as frequently as originally anticipated, so we reduced that. Bear with me, I'm just scrolling through. Dues and membership, we had never maxed out that account, so there was areas to cut in that as well. And I think I missed
You
a
guys
one.
mind sharing a microphone?
Yeah, fine,
Those are the
yeah,
two.
go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know why the mics aren't working.
Yeah, that works. Thank you, Sophie.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it was good to me.
Can you repeat all that? No. Okay.
Yeah, the town thanks you. Okay, so warrant articles. Can we go through what's on the list?
The articles?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that reflects the most recent version of the warrant and in the same order that they have it.
Okay.
From
Perfect.
late this afternoon that we
Yeah.
got from you, right?
Version
That said
five,
use
yeah.
this-
Version
this-
5?
Yeah.
Tony, that's version 5?
Version 5, I received 2 version 5s actually in quick succession, so I don't know whether they were different version 5s.
I received a version 5 yesterday, so hopefully we're working off the same version 5.
Okay.
I got my version 5 from you, Tony, at
Yeah.
5:12 PM, so.
Yeah, me
That's the
too.
most recent one I've received.
Okay.
Parentheses 1.
We have not submitted any modifications since then, so it should
Yeah.
all be the same.
Okay, great.
Okay, so do you have a list of which articles are yours in here?
They're all on the bottom, usually, right? They're at the back. They were last week. Did they get
yes.
moved?
No, all the planning board articles are in the rear, CPC articles are prior to that, and my capital articles are prior to those.
Okay, so why don't we start with planning, since
Okay.
Rebecca's
Yeah.
here.
So we have one article that proposes revisions to Article 4.2.2 to expand the maximum allowed size of an accessory dwelling unit by right. It's simply bumping the number from 900 square feet up to 1,000 square feet.
Okay, so I'm just going to try and find it down here.
Page
It's,
57.
Yeah, page 57.
57.
Yep.
I'm trying to get my pages on here.
Is there a reason you did that? I know there is, but maybe these guys want to hear it. I've been listening.
I think it was a local community member had requested that of the planning board. We've seen it done in different communities in the state. So since it's been proven accepted by the state, we figured we could bump it up just slightly. It's not a huge jump. We may have we've been able to go more, but we decided to just keep it at the request for now.
Did you find it?
Okay, I'm at 57 now. Okay,
Right there.
ADU.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. So we covered that,
Yep.
especially food shops.
Yeah, okay, so this is revisions to Article 9.2 to revise the town's definition of specialty food shop. We had an issue with a local community member, new business over in the Middlesex Plaza. The definition was not meeting their intention for the business. And the building inspector basically declined a certain use in town, in their building for this because of the this specialty food shop definition. But it was approved by the ZBA. So we were trying to correct this. We've since been told from the building inspector that we still have to edit this a little bit to make it function properly. It's kind of coming too close to another definition in our list of definitions. So you'll probably hear about that a little bit more. This will be revised slightly during our next hearing.
Okay.
Before it goes to print?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can hold off
Yeah.
until we get final language.
So that's in support of the business?
Yeah, it is to meet the needs of the business intent, yeah.
Okay. Article to expand the purview of the design review bylaw.
Yes, we've had a lot of feedback from the community, and we now have a lot of support from the planning board to kind of expand this. We've seen a lot of development, like along 111, that maybe is not how we want to put our face forward as the town of Boxborough necessarily. So the idea is to give some purview to the DRB in specifically those districts right there, the B district, B districts, to be able to kind of weigh in on what some of these buildings are looking at. We've had a lot of corrugated steel kind of look. It's just not really beautiful construction, and you know, we want to represent the town in a beautiful way and keep it the way we like it, right? So
Yeah.
just some weigh in for the DRB to be able to give recommendations only. It's only recommendations. Boards can accept their the outcome of the reports or choose to decline it, but it would be a thorough assessment of architectural styles, screening, that kind of thing, materiality of these proposed applications.
So but it's advisory, you can't...
It's advisory,
you can't-
yes, Tony.
Okay, so they can still build a corrugated steel
If the
building.
planning board deems it correct, then yes, they
Okay.
can say no to the DRB advisory role, yeah.
Okay, so the planning board still has to approve it then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I say we, because I'm on DRB too, but the ZBA might require some feedback too at certain points from us as well. So it would be PB and ZBA.
Those are the only two boards? Because you said boards, and I was
so.
going to ask that question,
Yeah.
what other board, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
All right, so I watch all your meetings.
Mm.
All your meetings. And today I got to listen
much
to your
fun,
meeting.
all
'cause,
this time.
Last week I was at the select board meeting, so I know that, so there's two things with this. I know that there has been a push by a couple of members to make this have more, like, you guys keep using the word bite. Like, is that what we can see? I mean, is this going to be pretty much final language? The way it is, where
This-
it will
yes.
remain advisory, you're
This-
not looking to change
Yes,
that
no,
to be.
no, we discussed that, Maria, as you probably saw, whether it should have, greater, teeth, right? Or, there's some discussion about wanting to see it, maybe, like, if we're gonna go for this purview, maybe want to expand it further. Like, there's been discussions about that, there's been a lot of development over on Codman Hill, for instance, which maybe we could probably improve a little bit in our town. So there is some board members that are interested in expanding to more districts, but other members are very focused on the corridor right now. Frankly, anything we can do is an improvement to try to take care of this, but certainly, from my perspective, if we're going to go for something like this and we can impact Codman, for instance, then it might not be the worst thing to do. But that's not currently on the table.
No.
It may be a further discussion at our hearing.
Before this goes.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
I
once it goes to
anticipate we
print, I
might.
assume you won't change it.
It won't change after we go to print. No,
Right, so
no,
whatever
we
it
should
is
have
that
all
goes
this
to
buttoned
print,
up beforehand.
And we vote,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
then my only comment
Mhm.
is one of the concerns I have with this, and I also have these, I shared this with Alec last week. I also have the concern about the ZBA, is that you're the chair of the design review board, and you sit on the planning board. To me, that almost feels a little bit like double dipping. I have the same concern with the ZBA members who also sit on the planning board. I don't think that's, I think, again, I've always said that, I feel like that's double dipping. So I have some concern around that, because it's advisory, but when the chair of the planning board is also the chair of the design review board, I think it can, to me, it feels like it can get a little muddy, because you're sitting there and saying, well, it's hard for it to be very advisory. I don't know. That's just my perception. And that would be one of the concerns. But I have that concern now. So it's not because you've expanded where your looking, your purview is. I have that concern now. I think that, especially around planning, I think that people come in front of you as a board, whether it's the planning board, the ZBA, or the design review board, and that's hard enough for business owners, and it may feel a little bit heavy-handed. So that is my personal opinion on that, and I don't know where I'm going to go with voting this, because this is specific to the purview. I certainly, if the language remains as is, I would be more in favor of it. I think if it ended up having some teeth, I would be much less in favor of it.
Yeah, it's going to remain advisory, but I think the board was kind of in consensus with that. Just to speak to your point, though, there's been multiple chairs of planning board and ZBA, for instance. So this is historically, we need more volunteers in town. I think that's what it boils down to. And frankly, even though I might chair the DRB, and I'd love somebody else to step up and take that from me, but it's I think there's 5 members that also contribute to that. It's not my opinion.
I understand,
Yeah.
and it's not about Rebecca. It's about the positions and the perception. So that's why I have the concern with the ZBA. It's the same concern. I mean, Mark's on both. He's not, I don't think he's the chair of the ZBA right now, but I have the same concern. It's about perception for somebody coming in front of these regulatory boards.
Fair enough.
It is not easy as a business owner. I know in the 2 cities that I'm in, it's hard if you have to go in front of any kind of regulatory board. If you have to do that a 3rd time, and then that could have some influence over materials and costs and all of that, that can be even more difficult for somebody coming in front. So was my concern around kind of this all in general, but, so,
Yeah.
I won't and we'll go on with
I
that.
do want to point, before we move on, I want to point out that this is going to be written as, because we have one more article coming up that you've seen already, the B2, potential B2 district. The board has agreed that we should include B2 on this, and then if it gets voted out, then we can just make a motion to strike that piece out, but we want to be prepared to receive it. So that is one thing that will be slightly different on an updated version of this.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Gateway
So
district.
revision to the zoning map. This is what I was talking about, the potential B2 district.
Yeah.
So there's been a small handful of properties that have been identified along 111 corridor that are currently IC district that we are trying to create a B2 district for. And thank you, Vanna.
And that actually is a lot easier to read than.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
I've even got my pop-up tents.
I know, you're all prepared. But you can see them allocated in the greenish color there. So those were they are currently IC district. What the board has been discussing is kind of a mashup of an IC/business district, but the purpose of this is to say this is our our way into town, and we want it to be welcoming and beautiful, and keep it that way, versus some of these other buildings that we've been talking about tonight, and just restrict some of the uses. So it's basically culling back a little bit from the IC, but not completely, because we want to be mindful of the current business owners that are functioning this way in the area, land ownership, how much, they put into these properties. So a lot of them are actually really restricted properties. They have a fair amount of conservation land on them or whatnot, but they are constructible, so to some extent. So we've just kind of taken a deep dive into what the potential uses are in that district, and then we've just called out uses that maybe we don't think are appropriate to how we want to welcome people into the town.
Just for layman here, what
Yeah.
sort of things we want to see in those areas?
Do you have a use regulations chart?
I have a fully expanded chart.
You are amazing.
Sorry, while you're getting that, what's the IC district?
Industrial commercial.
Industrial
yeah,
commercial.
yeah.
B2 kind of narrows the scope.
It does, yeah, it brings it back in. Thank you so
And
much.
this just shows the reduced, so it's that middle row.
Okay, that's awesome. Oh, so this doesn't have the, it does for the IC. So the ones in highlighted are the ones that we changed, right?
This
Oh, no.
version includes the table of uses. You're gonna look to the middle column of the three to be able to see what is yes, to ZBA special permit.
We need an Alec.
Alex, amazing.
Can I just say that?
We have an Alec.
Right, so the
Oh,
far column
copies
on
for
the right
everybody.
is what is currently allowable on those green parcels.
Right.
And the middle, as Alex said, the middle row is the proposal for the B2, those green parcels. So if you scroll down, you can see that what we've changed, riding school with less than 20 horses to a yes from a ZBA approval. The private facility providing tennis, swimming, and skating has gone from ZBA to a yes. The commercial earth removal has been removed. We've got philanthropic uses has gone from a no to a yes. Nursing home, rest home has gone from a ZBA to a yes. Assisted living facility has gone from a ZBA to a yes. We've got hospital, medical, sanatorium, funeral home going from a ZBA with a footnote to a yes with a footnote. Sports and athletic facilities, public golf courses from a ZBA to a yes. Many of these uses I don't think could probably even fit on these parcels with some of the restrictions, but you know, we've left them in to try to minimize change too much. Hotel, motel, inn, ZBA to a yes. Did I miss any there? Veterinary from a ZBA to a yes, because there's currently veterinary stuff in the business district. We thought that was still appropriate. Service shops, salon, barber, dry cleaner from a ZBA to a yes. Craft shop or art studio, ZBA to a yes. Retail stores of 25 square feet gross floor area, went from a no with a footnote to a yes. That's small shops, similar to what we have over at Middlesex. Self-storage facility went from yes to a no. Those are kind of bigger uses. Oh, did I miss one? Adult use. Yes, we went from ZBA to a no.
But don't we have to have some area in town that's zoned for adult use? And we do have that, and that's not it?
And the IC, and the industrial commercial, we have it, yeah.
Right. So that's like up on Liberty Square Road at the corner.
No, it's up on
Yeah.
111 up near Harvard.
Swanson and.
Oh, I thought it was up on 111, I thought it was, I might be wrong.
Currently, the IC district exists both on Mass Ave, as you can see here, as well as along Codman Hill and up at the peak of Liberty Square Road.
Right.
So those remaining IC districts would still allow adult use. However, this stretch, which is directly along Mass Ave, would no longer allow adult uses.
No, it's better that it's next to Liberty Fields. Okay, go ahead.
Baby steps, okay.
I know, and I know that we had to do that, so, years ago. No, I just came up with that, but.
A repair shop went from ZBA to a yes. Warehouse went from yes and a footnote to a no. Specialty food shop of equal to or less than 3,000 feet of gross floor area went from a no to a yes with a footnote. Specialty food shop of 3,000, of more than 3,000 went from no to a ZBA.
Rebecca? Sorry, what's the difference between repair shop and repair garage?
I'm just trying to get there. Repair
Where's
shop.
repair
What's our
garage?
definitions of that difference?
Oh, repair garage, okay.
That's a good question. Got to look up the definition of that for you.
I'm guessing repair shop might be like a computer repair shop, where a repair garage
That's
is
a good
an
point.
automotive.
Yeah,
Because
it's probably just expanded.
Yeah.
that's my guess,
yeah.
but I don't know. I'm not the.
I'm sorry, what's the footnote on printing shop, coffee shop?
What footnote was it, Gary, that you're looking at?
Printing shop, it's fourth from the top, same page.
What's the footnote number?
It looks like it's a 3 or 13.
Right.
Wait, yeah.
Oh,
I have the footnotes on this one. Thank you.
are the footnotes listed here someplace?
For the purposes of the warrant article, the footnotes are not listed. We are not changing any footnotes, only carrying them over where they make sense to do so for the district.
Okay, so this is in and around toxic and hazardous materials. So basically saying you can't have toxic or hazardous materials where these things are.
Thank you.
I can read the whole thing if you want to hear the whole footnote. It's a little breathy.
No,
but-
this was the footnote, the second question he asked, not the repair question.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
so that
okay,
was the
all right.
footnote 3.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry, you might
And
have,
then
just to
we're looking up
interject.
the definition right now.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you might have already said, but these were changed at the discretion of the planning board, like where did the proposal come from?
It started from one of our planning board members, and the planning board has been working on it for quite some time, actually. It was brought up last year, and it's been brought up again this year because it's kind of involved. Yeah. So
Okay, so the planning board went line by line and was like, okay, do we want
line by line,
light
yes.
manufacturing?
Over and over
defined
again.
light, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I believe this public hearing is still open, so the board may consider
Yeah.
those uses again
Yeah.
on Monday night.
Yeah, there has been a fair
Okay.
amount of discussions back and forth about, do we want to limit a little bit more? Do we want to include a little bit more? So
Yeah.
this is a bit moving until our next hearing.
And they had a plan for an earlier warrant and then decided to pull it, so they had more time to do more due diligence.
Yeah, Yeah, just because
perfect it even
it's
further, right?
involved.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence on it.
I'll also note, a member of the board and the chair of the EDC, myself, and the associate town planner will be meeting with property owners and business owners and tenants that are specifically in this affected district tomorrow to specifically collect their feedback, help provide education back to them, and we've referred them to Monday night's public hearing as well, so they can further participate then if they choose.
So do they get grandfathered?
Yes, so
Yeah.
any use that would change, whether it goes to a yes, or whether it goes from a no or a ZBA special permit from presumably a more allowable use, they would receive what's referred to as a grandfathering clause or a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming clause.
So what happens if they want to expand their business?
If they
And-
wanna-
and all things being equal, if you hadn't changed the, the zoning for that area, does it get affected now?
So we have to, in that regard, let's define the expansion. If they're expanding their physical space,
Yeah.
that today, without this change, may still require site plan approval. Any expansion of greater than 500 square feet.
I understand that, but are they allowed to do that within their old use?
Within their old use, yes. If they're expanding the scope of their services while becoming a disallowed or a special permitted use, then they may have to file with the zoning board of appeals for a special permit to expand a non-conforming use.
If that's a different use?
Yes.
Okay. I think I understand that.
Okay, Gary, we have repair shop for you. Maria was correct. It's household appliances, bicycles, lawnmowers, and similar small equipment.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
One more question, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Where is the things like the signs and lighting, nighttime lighting covered in the B2?
So,
Is that covered in the general bylaw, general zoning, or?
I mean, like no neon signs, things like
Well, there's
that.
size
well-
of signs.
Yeah, no
Lighting at
30-foot
night.
billboard or something.
so we have a lighting bylaw, which does not allow that. And we have signage, in our bylaw, we also have signage design, and it tells you to, maintain a couple of different colors, not 6. Thank you. There's a whole sign, 6.5. Thank you for pulling that up. You are amazing. We're happy to have you here.
Also?
What's that?
B2 added in there?
This would apply to all of the
Doesn't matter.
districts, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Warehouse went from a yes and a footnote to no. Specialty food shop, we went from a no to a yes with a footnote. And that's equal or, to 3,000, less than or equal to 3,000. And then specialty food shop, I went through these already, I'm sorry. More than 3,000 was a no to a ZBA. We added a footnote for light manufacturing. Do you have that footnote? Just
It's footnote 11, right?
11, yep. So that says, provided the major portion of the goods produced is sold to the consumer on premises by the producer.
That's the footnote 11.
Yeah.
What's the difference between light manufacturing and manufacturing? Is it like capacity?
Do we have our def? Thank you. So the definition of manufacturing shall mean fabrication, processing, packaging of, or assembly operations which do not qualify as light manufacturing but excluding primary industry such as an asphalt, block bottling, concrete or fertilizer plants, monument works, paper pulp mill, refinery, and rendering of smelting plants. And then light is, shall mean fabrication, processing, packaging, or assembly operations employing only electric or other substantially noiseless and inoffensive motor power, utilizing hand labor or quiet machinery and processes, and free-form neighborhood disturbing agents such as odors, gas fumes, smokes, cinders, refuse matters, electromagnetic radiation, heat, or vibration, providing that there is no usable storage or materials or finished goods, storage of materials or finished goods. So some of these properties are by residential properties too, so we just want to be really cognizant of that, because I see mixing with a homeowner is kind of not the perfect match. So we're trying to limit anything that might be really, difficult for a homeowner to live next to, if that makes sense too. So we said manufacturing went from a yes to a no. So that's kind of the reason why, because there are more offensive uses with regular manufacturing. Next is landscape contractors. We've seen a lot of this popping up along the corridor, and it went from a yes to a no. Registered marijuana dispensary went from ZBA to a no. Solar stays the same in all fashions. Moving on, we've got, there's a proposal right now for a change in the like setbacks and requirements for the parcels. So if you go through the IC district column, it basically lays out what your lot frontage is, what your lot width is, your setbacks on all sides, et cetera, what your heights of your building can be. But this is saying that we're going to carry this over to the B2 district. But we're actually going through this in greater detail because this is kind of complicated too. Do we want to allow to build closer to the street with some of these uses is a question. So the board is currently going through this with a fine-tooth comb, saying, do we want it to be more like a B district, or do we want it to be more like a industrial commercial district? We have to be very careful with what we propose there because of the uses and the look that we want the town to have, right? That is a chart that could change from this sheet. I just want to point that out to you based on our next round and our next hearing, because we're kind of going through that in great detail at this point.
Rebecca, can I ask you, how do the uses differ between B and B2?
Between the B and B2. Oh, we don't have that one.
It's not shown in full detail, no.
Yeah. Do you want to pull up the... So it's expanded a little bit. So B has grown a little bit into like a hybrid of the IC district, right? They're kind of less offensive increases, I guess, of a B. So it's close to a B, but it's a little bit broadened.
So which one is more restrictive?
The B is more restrictive than the B2 would be, yeah. Okay.
And I will note, the planning board has requested that the final form of this article show all columns of the use table. For this purpose, we've highlighted just the two pre-existing districts that are covered in this proposed change, but the final form, which will be provided to you following the planning board meeting, will include all columns, so you'll be able to do a direct comparison to the B and B1 districts as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to, when you get that copy, to look at the B and look at the IC and see where we're kind of meeting in the middle, because it's kind of a hybrid of both.
And I do expect that this article, presuming it goes forward to town meeting, this article will receive its own table at the annual town meeting info session. Just given the depth of changes that are involved here, probably warrants its own set of discussion points and its own graphics for visualization.
So is there a vision of what this might look like, or what you would like it to look like in terms of somewhere else I can think of in the area with a similar sort of district and similar sort of mix of businesses and sort of spacing of businesses? Is there something which you've got in your mind about that?
The board's actually asked for some precedent images of something like that, but verbally there was a suggestion of off of 117, and I don't know that this is quite it, but this was the first thing that popped up into a member's mind, was right off of 117, close to where 495 intersects. There's like a small little bunch of shops. It's kind of like the Middlesex Plaza, right?
Bolt and Bean.
What's that?
Where Bolton Bean is, there's that
I
part.
think so,
Yeah.
but something, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
kind of along the lines of the chocolate shop, the
Yeah.
little pastry shop and Middlesex Plaza with those little, businesses in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But something, trying to encourage something like that.
So would the spacings here and the sort of setbacks and that allow a sort of plaza like that to be built with stores close together? Because I mean, it looked like there was sort of like there's a sort of a footprint, a maximum footprint on each lot, which would encourage, which mean to be spaced out. Whereas what you probably want, I think, is more things close together and clustered.
Yeah, I think
more like where the Middlesex Bank is, for example.
Yeah, I think that they're not huge parcels. There's a lot of limitations on the parcels. So I imagine that, and this is kind of why we're doing a deeper dive, just to make sure that we're feeling confident about that. But I think it would be something similar to that, where it's one building that has multiple spaces in it, units in it.
And so do these setbacks and stuff allow that? That's my question. If we look at what's on this last chart here in terms of frontage per business and that sort of thing, would that work? Would if we're thinking about where the Bolton Bean is, would that work within this restriction here?
I think that's where we're going a little deeper on it. We need to make sure we're feeling confident about it, Tony. So the IC district has a greater setback from the street. Do we want this a little closer? We just want to kind of figure out what feels appropriate in that area. So that's what board members were kind of tasked with. Leaving our last hearing was to really dig into this and think about every single use potentially in this district, that could occur, and how do you want it to sit in the footprint of the building, and do you want it to sit right next to a neighbor with a reduced setback, or do you want to give them more breadth, right? So that's where we are currently.
Because the objective here is that we'd like to encourage business in town, right? I mean, that's we've seen that sort of commercial growth go down, and we'd like to try and re-encourage that a little bit more. So we need it's drawing that sort of like line between not allowing obnoxious uses near to houses, but also encouraging people to actually develop for nice, swanky retail uses or coffee shops or whatever.
Exactly. It would be nice to have a little bit more of that in town, right?
Swanky.
Well, yeah. I think about like West Acton, for example. I know it wouldn't be that. I know, but I mean, but I think that to me is a success story.
Yeah.
Where they've done something very different. I mean, this is not that. That's much denser than we have here. But I'm trying to figure out what it sort of looks like along a 111 type stretch. So how do you envision that?
I think we need to dig into that a little bit more, what exactly it looks like. We've used that very example, West Acton, multiple times. It's very successful over there. Did a beautiful job, great visioning. Yeah. It is very different what is allowed there from what either one of these options is. Yeah. They have the setback right off the street. You're walking on a sidewalk touching the front face of the building. So we don't have anything even close to that in town. Could we think about, potential for that happening in town center? Because that's kind of a center kind of thing. This is a little bit more removed from the center of town, as most people envision it. But there's opportunity for stuff like that. That is a great success over there, and I think the board appreciates that as well. Yeah. Okay. But the clustering of the businesses, you might be able to envision something like that, like at least the layout and the plan of that. Though it may be set back a little bit more, similarly to the same plaza we keep referencing. So
yeah. So it sounds like town centers, the plan would be walkability, village mentality. This is more, you're driving to the gas station, there's somewhere else you can stop on the way. And
it's
head
by
back
car.
into town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're looking at town center too. Just not right now. It's a bigger plan.
So I have a comment, and I mentioned this now, like, if you look at, for the committee, if you look at the intersection of Hill Road and 111, and right where the green starts on the bottom of 111, right there, right there.
Yeah, that's
That
Highland
piece of
Burrows.
property, go to the corner there, right there, 1300. That piece of property there is owned by that building, and their septic is on there. It goes under the road and goes there. So to me, and I know you guys are just looking at IC, it makes no sense that we have one piece of property owned by the same person whose, like mechanicals, is on that other side of the street, is two different zones. Like, I don't understand how that works, because you got one that could be great little boutique shops, but it's all wet and there's a septic system on it. But then the person who owns that property is in the office park. So like, that seems schizophrenic to me, because that's how I think.
Rita,
So,
that's 1300 you're talking about?
1300, yeah.
So I will note, under Boxborough zoning code and the vast majority of zoning codes, and this is
Yeah.
something that's been tried multiple times in front of land courts, it's very hard to regulate that if you have a split zone parcel or two parcels like that are split in zones. It's the use that dictates what can and can't happen. So for example, the use occurs at 1300. There is nothing that prohibits them from putting their infrastructure on an adjacent lot.
I understand that. It just seems to me that if I own a piece of property, I just don't know why we're just not zoning the whole piece of property the same thing. Like, I understand it's in the office park. I understand that ideally this is just for the IC to become this B2, but it's one parcel and half of it belongs in one district and half belongs in the other.
Oh, like if they ever wanted to expand and now they can't.
Or sell, or whatever.
Whatever they're trying
You know,
to-
I mean, you can't do much
Yeah.
on the right side of Hill Road. You can't do anything with that property, because
Yeah, there's a pond right there.
it is wet, right? And
Very much
there is 1300 septic runs there, and then somehow runs out into the leaching fields out in the wetlands. I don't know how anyone got away with that, but this is all the stuff we discovered when we looked in depth at that property. But what we also know is you can move the septic onto the parcel on the left-hand side, because we looked at that. We looked at buying just the left-hand side for a fire station, moving the septic over and using that piece of property. But then it just seems odd to me that it's divided. That's just a comment. I don't know if it makes any difference. I feel like it should be one or the other.
Yeah,
And I don't care which one.
I will note, so the board at no time has analyzed the impact of these changes to the office park district, and where
Okay.
the uses in this case are all cubbied into 1300 Mass Ave, and that's potentially a shared use space where you could have multiple uses in one office building. That would have direct impact on a property owner who only just recently made a purchase and is right now trying to make a go of it. And so in that regard, you run the risk of potentially outzoning what could be a proposal in the making, something that the property owner might be cooking up right now, whereas this change as it stands today will not impact the future use of that building under its current zoning code.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that that parcel is currently IC, so they are zoned differently. And we do, it's funny, like down, if you can see, like some of the B district to the north there is spanning property lines. So our town doesn't necessarily follow the
Yeah,
edge
it's just,
of
it's owned by
property
the
lines.
same owner. That's, to
Yeah.
me, looking at it as a property owner, just, like I said, doesn't make sense to me, but that's,
The current condition too, yeah,
that's just
yeah.
my opinion, so, as I look through that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions on this one? Okay. Okay. Next one is plastic bags.
Yeah, so this is plastic bag, polystyrene, and disposable plastic reduction bylaw. Currently, about half of the state has a plastic bylaw in play. So we're a little bit behind the times. Town of Acton actually has this, which this is modeled after, has had it in place since 2022. Successfully. You can go to Dunkin' Donuts, still get your drink, and they're just using non-disposable or recyclable materials. Let's just say that. So it limits plastic checkout bags, the use of like styrofoam for takeout, which these products are not good for your health anyways, and they're also environmentally compromising water resources and stuff, animals and whatnot, and just as we all are seeing, you know, this leaching into our water system and stuff like that in your soil, you just can't get away from it anymore. It's unfortunate. So this looks lengthy, but the point is to just limit it in town. If you go to Littleton and you do your grocery shopping and come back into town, there's no problem with you bringing in plastic or styrofoam from another community. It's just saying, and we don't have many businesses right now even operating in this fashion. It's really projecting for future uses, saying that we would like to operate in this way for the future. It allows anybody impacted right now to finish up the use of whatever materials they have. They don't have to discard it. You know, they can use what they have already purchased. But moving forward from a certain date, they would have to start purchasing compostable materials and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Ask away.
Well, speaking as a Minuteman who picks up trash on 111 twice a year, we've seen a significant reduction in plastic bags over the last couple of years, actually.
It's remarkable, yeah.
And
thank you for doing
many
that.
Towns.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for this.
Have you talked to the businesses that might be affected, the restaurants in particular?
We are going to have a reach out. So there's, I've explained that we have, I didn't have to do a lot on this one. Like Acton really did a great job with their bylaw, and they have some excellent diagrams and stuff that will be circulated around so that we can solicit feedback from people. It's also gone in front of Sustainability Committee and Conservation to get some feedback from their groups too. So we've got some feedback, which is great. So they're reviewing it in tandem with us as well.
It's becoming the norm, right? I mean,
it's the norm. Yeah, exactly.
So, but you're also going to reach out to the restaurants and talk to them specifically? Okay. It is the norm. It's just that for small restaurants, if they're, you know, sometimes going to this compostable stuff is expensive. I don't use plastic in my house if I'm having 100 people over, which, believe it or not, does not happen quite often at my house. I use compostable, but I pay 3 times the amount of money to get recyclable, compostable plates because, you know, so I just want to make sure that the businesses, you know, because businesses are struggling right now because of everything that's going on in the economy.
We all are.
We don't need to make it worse.
Yeah,
I know.
we
don't need to make it worse for them. So I just want to make sure that we're reaching out to those smaller businesses, the restaurants in particular.
Yeah, it's definitely been a discussion of the board, Maria. So
I think section 4, sub 4 kind of covers that. Building
How many restaurants do we have?
yeah, thank you. That's a really good point. We did put in a section that says that if they can reflect that it's a real hardship on them in some way, shape, or form, the building inspector has the ability to, you know, change direction a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
To your question, there's 4 restaurants in town. I think there's Oscar's, there's Thinking Flower, there's Craft Foods, there's Bravo. Oh, and there's Minuteman Cafe, the hotel restaurant, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's 5.
Yeah.
I guess there's 5.
I was thinking chocolate serves hot chocolate. Does that count as a restaurant?
Well, it would
Or,
because, and I don't know what everyone uses. I do know that if I get a cup of coffee in Foxborough, it's cheaper than Acton, because Acton needs to use a compostable, you know, I mean, everything. And I'm not saying I'm not for this, because, you know, I don't use plastic in my home as much as I can.
I like to play devil's advocate too, so I hear you.
I just think it's important,
Yeah.
but I'm also mindful of businesses, because we're a small business right now, and we just get hammered from everybody. So I'm mindful of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I also, oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, the only thing I noticed, it says after June 1st, which seems pretty quick. I would think.
Yeah, that's kind of a placeholder right now.
Okay.
Because I assumed a certain date for us to review it as a town, right, and get it voted in or voted down, and so I had to put something in there. So that was after that date. But it also has a disclaimer in there that if you own such and such number of plastic plates or whatever, you're allowed to use all of that up until, you know, and until you're able to restock or need to restock. So it's not a financial burden.
I'll also note here, there's an additional built-in delay to all this. So we fix a date certain of June 1st, which means it goes on the books and it's there and it's present. However, the Attorney General will have more time than that to do their review. And so we, in the building planning offices, we can't begin enforcing this until the Attorney General has first had their crack at it. So in that first, what will likely be a 3-month window, we'll be doing the educational outreach of, this is just passed. Well, I've already done the outreach to say this is on the books, this is on the warrant, we're bringing it to town meeting. But if it passes, we'll then go out and say this will become effective. All the dates will be honored as of the date the Attorney General stamps it and allows us to then post it. But they'll have an additional window. So there's even that additional, usually 90 days built in of extra amnesty to the businesses that exist today.
Okay, good, yeah, because again, like to Maria's point, just like the undue burden, you're like, oh, I got 5,000 containers and then I just gotta toss them. Like,
No, I mean, we don't want to encourage tossing anything into landfills, right? So please, yeah, definitely would be use it up. I also wanted to point out that, like, if you go to Bravo, for instance, you buy a bottled soda, that's not impacted. You know, if they're importing stuff into town that's already prepackaged up like that, none of that's impacted. It's really just, you know, if they're putting a product into a package, that's what we're trying to minimize. Okay?
Okay.
Rodenticides?
Yes, so this has been something that has come up with the planning board and I believe the Conservation Commission on a number of points. We've seen it through a couple of applications that we've gotten on our table. And it's basically just, so the state has a regulation and it's interesting how we have to go about this one. We have to get a home rule petition and petition the state to ask them to allow us to regulate rodenticide use in our town. But it's been very successful. Like many communities have done this. They petition them, they get approval, and we get to regulate it on our own. But this is saying that we're not going to use these kind of poisoning efforts. You know, there's definitely impacts on, you know, it's humane stuff. There's also like, you know, birds eat these things, animals eat these things that have died, and it's like it's killing a lot of wildlife unnecessarily. Some of these are being used in very sensitive environments as well, with lots of wildlife. So I believe the Conservation Commission was actually looking at this, unbeknownst to the planning board, but when we started seeing this coming through our application processes and some hesitancy to include that in our decision making, we decided maybe that this is something that we should be looking into so that we have something to point to in our bylaws. It does have another like locked in thing if there's an outbreak of some crazy rat issue, you can contact the building inspector, God forbid, right? But the building inspector can, you know, say you have a hardship and we need to allow you to do whatever you got to do to take care of this problem.
How does that work? Okay. Yeah, like you just show up and be like, hey, I need a freebie here, or do you have to like
They have to
meeting,
go.
Get approval. Like, is it going to take like a month? And you're like, I've got
No,
batch
oh
for
gosh,
months,
no,
like-
no. You'd go talk to the building inspector and you'd have to kind of reflect why it's an issue and explain your situation. So you'd have to report it, right? And it has to be, you know, documented properly for them to say, yeah.
And it's just the building inspector that has to give the thumbs up?
Yes, so I'll note, this does not affect you as an individual homeowner and your purchasing power. So you today cannot buy products like these. However, if you hire an exterminator, the exterminator does have access to them. So if you bring in an exterminator, the exterminator says, this is way too much to handle without the use of this product type. Then your exterminator walks in the building commissioner's door, presents their finding and evidence, and the building commissioner can sign off the very next day to say that, yes, you may in fact, for a temporary time, use this type of chemical.
Got it.
So how this works is then these are all commercial products used by commercial companies. They would know that Box Brewer is now not on the list with places where they can use these products, and they'd have to be sort of self-enforcing that essentially.
It's twofold. So as with any bylaw like this, there's an education component. We have to publish a variety of materials, make it known to the world. We would contact all of the usual players. So anyone, we have our own business registry through the EDC that we're working on today, but anyone who would fall into one of those categories that might be affected, any of those exterminators, we would do direct outreach to them to make them aware. We would post it in conspicuous places, and our Board of Health would certainly participate in that as well, making it known to the public. There's always a possibility something could slip through the cracks. That happens regardless of how well you put a regulation in place, but we do our best effort to make them aware and make it known. I'm not aware if the state is putting together any sort of database of who is and isn't participating in this. I know a lot of conservation agents are keeping that list, and they're documenting it, especially as this is also moving through the state legislature as well as statewide ban. But we'll make every effort to make sure that all of the providers are aware.
What would be the penalty if they were to violate?
We have a penalties section, if we want to scroll down on that. It's not, oh, sorry, it's not included in your document. I can't remember what it was, but it was not hugely, ominous, so.
Right.
We've been talking a little bit about aligning penalties just generally throughout the bylaw, because as they get written, you might have a $100 penalty here, you might have a $300 penalty here. So it's something that we need to work on, is aligning those things, but it's not a huge.
Seems like
but it gets
very
more
difficult to enforce too.
It happens,
but
yeah, exactly.
The spirit is we're making it known that that's not allowed, and
right.
It's just I can imagine the people who knock on your door and say, hey, you want me to take care of your pests, aren't going to be petitioning the town to know that this is on the books, and the homeowner might not know, and boom, it's in the neighborhood. So, a penalty that was maybe prohibitive would be nice for this, because I full support of this, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, this is a general bylaw, right?
Yes, that's
So this
correct.
one and the plastic one.
Plastics, yeah.
So are you taking public comment on either one of those at your meetings? Because it's not part of the public hearing, is it?
It's not, but we've been taking public hearing,
Okay.
public comment from people. We actually had we've only had like 1 or 2 people weigh in, Maria, but we've gotten really good feedback from those couple of people.
Okay.
And again, people are welcomed to give additional feedback at our next hearing. And like I said, we've reached out to a couple of commissions that are, relative to this, to get their feedback as well.
Okay. Reduced parking requirements.
Okay. And just quickly, one more comment on that.
Right, yeah.
It's largely around just having something to point to when we have these applications. I mean, that really inspired it. It's these massive developments that we're seeing coming in, and the impact that something like this could have, right? So just wanted to add that little piece in, because that's kind of what inspired the next one. This has also been inspired by some of the applications the Planning Board has been seeing, specifically around, if you look at the use table, business and professional offices, office buildings, government uses, philanthropic uses, repair shops, research and development facilities, light manufacturing, and office and wholesale operation, including sales space. So the applications that we've been seeing come in, I'm going to point to one, Beaver Brook. There's massive amounts of parking over there already, very little of which is used. And we know that this is something that we probably have to apply to certain other areas in town, but this one was very obvious to us, and we didn't necessarily have the time to give all of the brain thinking time to the rest of the town, but we know we'll probably have to come back to it. We're seeing applicants ask for reductions in parking. So it just says your minimum is now 1 space per 500 feet, and that's the minimum off-street parking ratio. So it can go bigger, but we're saying, your minimum is now a greater square footage. The Planning Board has the ability to reduce parking already, but this is kind of getting it in writing and recognizing the fact that half of us are working from home now, and we're not commuting into your workplace. So a lot of stuff is being done online, and so the need is just not really there. So let's reduce impervious wherever we can, especially in these sensitive environments like that office park. It's a very sensitive area. So yeah, that's the 2 cents about that.
Okay. Scenic roads.
Scenic road bylaw. Why don't you take a turn?
Sure. So this is born, board member Markowitz and myself worked on this quite intensely. This is born in part from an enforcement issue we have had to date. All you got to do is drive up and down Stowe Road, and you can see today that there are plenty of public shade trees right within the right-of-way on our side of the stone wall that have been chopped down with no approval and with no recognition.
By our side of the stone wall, you mean the town side of the stone wall?
The town side of the stone
Okay.
wall, yes. That is not an entirely unheard of story, but when we have gone to enforce the bylaw, we've been told by our own town council, it's frankly unenforceable in its current stance. So what we've done here is we've incorporated the existing list of scenic roads that was adopted by the town at a much earlier date. We're making no revisions or changes to the designated scenic roads. However, we are putting standard enforcement criteria and decision-making processes in place. Just had an example this past May. The property owner watched as 2 trees were chopped down in front of their home. They called me with great amount of dismay. I did my best to communicate with the entity that was doing the tree cutting, and they made no effort to stop at the time, unfortunately.
They were like 100-year-old oaks, right?
Yes.
They were
I think I know the ones you're talking about.
And quite healthy too, unfortunately.
So that becomes the entity's issue, not the homeowner's issue?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, this is most impactful to utility companies
Okay.
most frequently. That being said, it does not prohibit the clearing of dead or dying trees. Ed, in his own independent authority, Ed Kukula, as the tree warden, if he orders a tree to be removed as it is dead or dying, that still stays within his scope and authority. So if you are concerned, even after passage, if someone is concerned that a dead or dying tree may damage the utility line, may damage their individual property, they contact Ed Kukula and he can make an assessment to that. Otherwise, this requires, and I should say, this mirrors what is already required by Mass General Law. The process that whether it's a homeowner or a utility company should be following is that they come before the planning board, they request permission, they demonstrate why there's good cause for a break in the stone wall or a public shade tree to be removed. They demonstrate that oftentimes it's because whatever they're proposing, whether it's a septic replacement, a new driveway, it's infeasible in any other way or form. And the planning board has the authority and discretion at that point to give the permit. But in those cases where something needs to be done in a more emergency case, that can be granted by the tree warden.
Wait, could you define that public shade tree?
Public shade tree refers to a tree that's often within the public, or well, it has to be within the public right-of-way, and so we use the term in our world because it provides shade to the public, whether it's cars driving underneath or over the sidewalks that you walk under.
So if a tree was like, let's say I'm on Hill Road, right? So let's say a tree is on my property on Hill Road, but overarches the road. Is that a public shade tree?
No,
Right?
it's
Or is that my
it's told
tree
by the
and
root
doesn't-
body.
Okay, got it.
But the public right-of-way,
Yeah,
we talked about that the other day.
Go past the stone wall.
Because it can go past the stone wall. So, not that my husband would ever let me cut a tree down, but you know all the trees that line my property?
Yeah,
Like, any of those are on my side of the wall.
right.
So how do I know if it's on my side of the wall, but it's in the public way? That's the
That's where I'm
problem I
confused.
have with this, because it's not easy, and I understand it's not easy to define the public way with the stone walls, but I guess how it, as a homeowner, I have a dead tree, how do I know? I mean, I know because I'm here, but like, how does my neighbor up the street who doesn't pay attention to any of this know that that tree on your side of the wall is actually in the town's right of way, and you're not allowed to take it down?
So we and every other town have very old archaic maps that actually demonstrate these right-of-ways. Some of them are newer than others only because we've maybe incorporated a new public right-of-way, so we have something up to date, but scenic roads in particular are old. That's why they're scenic, oftentimes. Our associate town planner, who's actively going through an advanced level GIS course, is working right now to convert those old maps and shape files into modern files, which we can then, whether it's direct mailing to those property owners who are within the scenic roadways, whether it's door knocking to make them aware, but certainly public posting on our website, as well as here in Town Hall, we are going to bring those up to modern times so that people can have complete certainty one way or the other. We'll provide you our line so that if you have any dispute, You can have a surveyor come out and confirm one way or another. You can even just call us. Oftentimes, the measuring stick, and I must preface this by saying this is not every time, but oftentimes the measuring stick is 10 feet from the edge of the roadway. That's usually how we can benchmark it. That's oftentimes the width. Sometimes it's 15 feet in. It's still your property, but the public right-of-way is a space that has that natural easement to it. Nonetheless, these maps that we are preparing are going to allow a property owner to make their own determination.
Wait, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So if I have a tree that I hate on my, I'm a tree lover, but let's say I have a tree that I hate on my property that's within, right now I can go, that's within like the area you're talking about. Right now, if this is not passed, I can go and cut that down.
No,
No.
Still no. This
Still
is just
no.
formalizing a process that already exists.
that's
There's
correct.
an application that you'd have to go through Ed. There's an application to petition him to take it down, and you have to prove that it is hazardous. Otherwise, if it's a
Even though
healthy
it's
tree.
on my property, and I don't even know.
If it's in the
this
public
tree is.
right of way, so if it's in that 10-foot boundary off the
How do I
street.
have access to those maps right now?
And so that's the problem,
Here's-
right, Michelle? Because
well,
you just moved
here's
to the
the-
town. Did you even know
No,
any of this?
No, genuinely no. That's why I'm asking. Like, if
They're
I-
great questions. I
Yeah,
don't know
my tree's
if
on my
everybody
property,
knows
right?
that, except for I dug into this way too much
Yeah.
for my own good. But like a lot of it, like this is not as mathematical as the process that my friend is describing here, but the stone wall that we have on scenic roads, sort of the limit of property for
Right.
the town. And that's not in every case, obviously, but like general rule. Yeah. But yes, you have to
Yeah.
petition an application.
But is that the purpose too of this though? Like, she could just cut it down and you can't really do anything about
You
it?
can charge her
Well,
$300
there's
a day.
Yeah, there's.
No,
Right
so-
now?
Or per offense, I'm sorry.
I would say
Yeah,
the
right now
information-
there's a fine.
Oh,
I would
there
say
is.
the information is not readily available.
But I guess I was
to me,
saying,
you know?
wasn't that the issue that was hard to enforce?
It's hard to enforce.
I would fight that. I
So-
had no idea that tree didn't belong to me, you know?
So when it comes to enforceability,
Yeah.
and to date, we have, aside from having a filing after the fact,
Yes.
we have not had to enforce this with fines against individual property owners. As I said at the start, this is more directly in response to utility companies who have gone
Right.
carte blanche and run over this rule in the past.
Right.
Private property owners, we reach out to them by mailing, we knock on their door, we chat about it real quick. We say, hey, see that you took this tree down. Please, please, please file with the planning board. It is by law a requirement. We could go down a messy enforcement path if we absolutely had to.
Gotcha.
But we always do our best to enforce from a place of kindness, not from a place of
I think it's filing
arbitration.
or discussing with the building inspector, building commissioner.
We use the building commissioner as our enforcement agent for this, just as he would
There's
the
like an
zoning bylaw.
application for that, yeah.
Yes.
So,
Can I
Go ahead.
ask, how is this gonna be different with the utility? Are you, is it gonna be
What I
more
think-
enforcement or?
Yeah, I mean, right now, they could drive right down Old Harvard and clear cut a line like this. And what's so beautiful about our scenic roads is that, the moment I drove down Old Harvard, I was like, I'm buying a house here. I didn't even see the house yet. But just the tree canopy that comes over. Now, this doesn't allow them to just clear a line of poorly pruned trees down the thing, which would change the whole look of these scenic roads. So, so it's pruning, as you
So I'm
said,
just curious,
utility
how do
company.
you set up the enforcement of that? So what's to prevent, Littleton
Yeah.
is a great company, so I don't see this as, well, or it depends on your perspective, I guess, okay, but,
Drive
So-
down Stowe Road and look at those giant trunks.
all right.
So think of this in terms of the impact of a utility company versus the impact of a private homeowner. If a private homeowner takes one or two trees down on their property line, that is not so severely impactful to the right-of-way that it's going to cause detriment to a scenic road. Yes, we'll go through the process, we'll work with that property owner to make sure that the right filings are made, the applications are put in. That's true today and will be true after passage of this bylaw. A utility company, however, let's say choosing to protect their power lines by their definition, may choose to go 500 straight feet, chop anything down that might intersect or might lean onto their utility line. And I'm saying that not targeting Littleton Electric by any means, but saying as past experience as a planner who's had to enforce these against major utility companies, minor utility companies, They have a mission and a requirement, which is to provide you service. And oftentimes, those utility companies will take the approach, don't even ask for forgiveness later. Just do the work I need to do and call it a day. This puts in place the regulations I need to strongly enforce that bylaw.
So
Okay.
shouldn't this be like way more severe for utility companies than for property owners?
So
Especially if
Mass
the
General
property
law-
owners can't even.
So we cannot target explicitly one entity over the other in the form of our regulations.
Okay.
And I will note that the maximum fine in this is fixed under Mass General law.
So I need to say something, especially for, I don't know if you were in town for the ice storm, John. You guys were not. So this is all well and good, Alec, and I understand we don't want them clear cutting, but the ice storm happened and Picnic Street was basically shut down from one side to the other because one of the neighbors had complained years earlier to Littleton Electric, we're a scenic road and you're not allowed to prune the trees. So they didn't prune any trees. It took down almost every single line. It ripped out all the lines from the houses. Cost the homeowners money because they had to bring the lines back in. So I think we need to be careful, because I love my scenic street, I love it. But it caused us, days of no power on the whole street. We were the last street to come online. We lost food. People had to pay thousands of dollars to get their houses rewired because of the lines
from
were
your
ripped
house out to theirs,
directly.
yours,
Yes. So I think, I understand, they shouldn't be cutting down giant trees, but at the same time, this whole attitude of like, we need to, reel in the utilities, we gotta be careful.
It's a balancing act. isn't it?
Right. So my fear is, I think we've had that. So on Picnic Street, I think we've had that balance because the town had a forum.
I'm just surprised.
We went
that
to it and complained about it.
One neighbour could have Littleton Electric not do any pruning for years. I mean, it sounds.
Well,
that
so
sounds
was
crazy.
I.
It sounds
Wasn't,
crazy
so was
to me.
I. I
Yeah,
didn't,
yeah.
we went to this forum and Littleton Electric was there and they said, well, you're a scenic road. And we were told we weren't allowed to
Well-
prune on your
Can't
street.
there be, like a force majeure or something
So,
in there?
I don't know. I just want to be careful when we talk about that because it is a really big deal for homeowners.
Yeah, we don't want no pruning, but we
You've
want.
got, it needs
we've
to
got
be
some,
careful.
You need some pruning
Right.
of trees.
So now I think Littleton Electric on Picnic Street does a really good job.
Right.
They do pruning. Some of these trees look a little bit ridiculous because, like it's half a tree because the other half is, the lines are all in it. But whatever, they do a good job. So I just want to be careful not to think about coming down hard on the electric company or any of them when they need to do some pruning. Otherwise, some of these storms could take down lines and we could be in trouble. And it was very difficult for not just my neighborhood, other neighborhoods, the same thing.
It
A
sounds
lot
like
of
right
these
now,
things.
though, they've got carte blanche, and we don't want that.
Right, so we need to find that balance. I'm not hearing balance. That's
Maria,
not what
can
we're
I
feeling.
I just want to say that as taxpayers, we pay the DPW a certain amount of money, as you know, to do an annual assessment of the trees in the town. Part of that is a plan to make sure that we're pruning all of the town-owned trees, so these exact trees, deadwooding them and removing any, hazardous trees. And so the town is doing that on one level. Home ownership, if that tree is yours, there's arbor law that says you need to maintain it in an appropriate way so that it isn't a hazardous tree. So you need to deadwood anything that's overhanging the. So we have homeowners are responsible for it, and the town is responsible for it also to make sure that these are structurally sound trees. So we already have that. It's really just trying not to go through and
I get that. I just think
the ugly tree
we need to find the
scenario.
balance, and I'd like to hear more balance instead of more, we need to deal with this. That's how that's my perception of how this is being handled. This needs to be, X, and I think we need to say, okay, there needs to be balance in this. There's a reason. Maybe you don't take down an oak tree. I don't know that situation. I tend not to try to judge situations I'm unaware of. But, if it was a healthy tree, there was no reason to come down, then there needs to be consequences for the utility company that did that. But I think there's a couple things you need to show the right of way to the homeowners. I think you need to reach out to the homeowners on these streets from the town to say, hey, oh, by the way, this is in fact now, but it's gonna be a $300 fine for every I don't think people realize this.
No.
I know
I-
this,
you're probably
but I
right,
think people
yeah.
don't realize it, and I think it's a problem. Or the process, right? And then the one last thing, because I know we're running late on this, but I have been on a planning board meeting where someone has come in front of you a while ago. It was a couple of years ago, maybe even more than that, maybe like 3 years ago. And they had pine trees at the end of their driveway on Stowe Road. And they had a tree company come in, and the tree company said, those pines need to come down because pines don't have big roots. You need to come down or they're gonna fall down if we have a good storm, yada, yada. These people come in front of the planning board, and you guys said no. Now, I listened to the whole hearing, I didn't hear anything, it was a pine, it's, the scenic route, the this, that, and the other thing. I think, again, there needs to be, it's great to say no, but when that pine tree falls in on that person's house, it's their house, it's, their lives that get disrupted. So that's only happened once. I listened to that. I just think, again, we're talking about residents, other than the utility companies, and we need to be, I just think we need to just try to remember, we're just talking about people who are homeowners who just they're trying to avoid a disaster with a tree falling in their house, or, a dead tree that they don't realize is in the public right away.
It
So
sounds like
we
right
need to
now
be
people
careful.
are cutting trees down with impunity, and that's not good either.
I don't disagree with that. I just want to make sure we're finding balance.
So if
That's all.
if your tree's dying, you call Ed, he comes over, he says, that's not my tree, and then you call Tree Masters.
I just think a 21-day decision. I'm just gonna point this out. Waiting 21 days to cut down a tree that's on my property is like insane. Like
If it's on your property, you
but,
can
like,
cut it down.
But at night, but if it's on my property, didn't I just hear if it's on my property, it might.
No,
Like
if it's on your property,
Well, like
you
your
can
rock
cut it
wall
down.
is technically on the
But
property.
but we
it's-
don't know that. And so I
Like
did
that.
call Ed, because I have a dead tree in front of my garage, and I called Ed, and he said, I need to know where the pin is. I didn't know where the hell the pin was. I found it. Now I know exactly where the pin was, because my husband just shook his head and said, it's right there. And he says, now, the pin is right next to the street. If it's on our side of the pin, even an inch, the town takes the tree down. But if it's on your side, it's your responsibility. But then do I do something else? Though I don't know. I didn't take the string and do that yet. I did this last spring. I didn't do that yet. Is it?
I'd move the pin.
Do I need to move the pin? Right, but that's not in the town's right of way. Because the town's right of way is 10 feet off the road. That is 3 inches from the street. So I'd like to better understand this.
My
and
pin's
or I
like
think
3
you
feet
need to-
into my yard past the
It's
rock
not.
wall.
My
Mine
pin
is.
is.
Okay, I
right
think
here.
we've.
Wait, I just want to beat this horse one more.
Can I just clarify on a point that was made? The planning board did defer to a recommendation that they received regarding those pine trees. So that was not based on a recommendation that we received. We deferred to the person that deals with this on a daily basis. So we have specialists for that reason. Please.
Alec, just a quick question. So my fear is that this doesn't do enough for you in terms of dealing with the utilities. I mean, what?
Oh, it absolutely does. So the language that we're incorporating goes beyond just fines. So fines, frankly, isn't the effective method for this. This version is developing so that we can seek injunctive relief, which means if I have a utility company that on Monday starts chopping down trees, I reach out and I say, you got to stop doing that. That's a scenic way. On Tuesday, they're still chopping down trees. I say, I've already told you once, you need to stop doing it. On day 3, I call town council. Town council files an immediate injunctive relief, and it freezes the activity by court order until such time as it can be ruled on. And that is the effective process here. Just fines alone is not effective. But when we sent this bylaw to town council, they recommended include a provision of injunctive relief.
Does it have to take 3 days?
I was going to say, by the 3rd day, the
But
tree's
street's
already cut
gone in
down.
3 days.
And yes, oftentimes time is of the essence here. Chopping down trees is not a quick process. And yes, there will be a loss in the interim. But if we get to a stage where we can get into court, then we can also get into court and say, you have to replant those trees, or you have to make reasonable compensation back to the town. And we can show that we made every effort to stop this before getting to court.
That's not cheap, too. Replacing a 100 300-year white oak isn't like you go to Cavallo's and get a sapling, right?
I would
I've heard,
completely
like, in
agree
the
with that as a
6
landscape
figures,
architect who does that,
7
right?
figures, I've
Yeah.
heard for some tree replacements.
Yeah, you can add a few. So, and you can't replace some of these things,
Right.
honestly. I mean, you can put big trees out there, but it's very difficult and very, very cost prohibitive. And we actually do have a bylaw in place right now, which is something that we could point to for replacements if it came to that. Replacement monetary, there's a tree fund, there's a replacement schedule as well for any of that. So there is something to point to as a standard in the town of Boxborough. Those are based on big developments, clearing of 3 acres or more, but there is a basis for that to look back at in town.
Yep. And to give you a recent example too, because where this, and you've heard it enough times already, but I'll say it again, where this really comes into play is those bigger examples with utility companies. We've had recent examples where private homeowners have changed the stone wall along the scenic road in just the last year alone. In those instances, we reached out to them by letter. We didn't even levy a fine against them. They came back to us, they said, okay, what do I need to do? Helped them walk through the filing. They made a filing to the planning board. Most recently, the planning board recognized that at that time, they were closing up the stone wall. And as a result, they didn't even require a public hearing. They just took it up under general business, got them out the same night and said, here you go, here's your letter, you're all squared away. This is really about protecting your interest as a community where decades ago, you designated these as scenic roads. And now I'm coming to you telling you, I can't protect these scenic roads. I need something. I need a tool in the toolbox, and this is the tool that we have proposed and has since been refined by town council.
Quick question on language, just because I'm seeing added, I know, sorry, John, we're going further into tree law. I see paint stones and painting of stones, clearly something we should prohibit. Is there anything that prohibits painting of trees? Because I've seen some trees on public ways in our town that have been defaced, to say the least, by paint. And I was wondering if that is prohibited at all, or if there's...
Are they marked for removal by the
no.
town?
It's
or
not a big
somebody
act.
just-
Rainbow stripes,
Oh, wow.
like, yeah.
Admittedly, I have not played out that
I don't know
scenario,
where in
so
town he
I
goes.
can't speak to it.
It's literally
Little
like 3 doors.
public art installation.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, one last question.
The rainbow
Is there an
tree.
effective date for this? Did I miss it?
Is there what?
When would this go into effect?
I think it would go into effect as of approval, if we get approval with the town.
It doesn't need to go to the Attorney General?
It does need to go to the Attorney General, but I will reiterate, this is putting on the books something that is already effectively dictated by Mass General Law. This is just giving it clear parameters. So the way we enforce this is not really going to change, except in those extreme instances. It'll take the Attorney General about 90 days to approve it, and once they do, we'll post it at Town Hall, and it becomes effective.
So don't cut your trees down before that, because it's still in effect.
If there is a bylaw, we currently have a bylaw, it's just making it, able to be enforced.
When are
right?
you gonna have the final language for all of these so we can vote them compared to timing wise? Because we gotta vote them, but I won't vote I won't vote any article until we have final language, but.
Yep, so we have sent all of our articles in to Town Council for a final round of review. They've been sent in some cases to the Building Commissioner for his round of review. We've already gotten the Building Commissioner's feedback. We'll be getting final legal feedback this week. The Planning Board will make their final decisions on Monday, and
This
we will
Monday.
then promptly churn them out for final drafts.
Okay.
Great, thank you, that's the last one.
Okay, do you wanna do CPC with Alan?
Oh, did you do CPC?
Do we need to do CPC? I don't know.
Yes, the FinCom now has to revote at least one of their recommendations.
No, we didn't vote any recommendation. We voted a recommendation to the select board, but we didn't vote any recommendation in the warrants yet, because we weren't sure, and we didn't have final language on all of that, so we haven't done any of those. But is there any that we have questions on? I don't think so. I think we've beaten these all to
No, I
death
feel
too.
really well educated. on
Yeah.
I mean, CPC ones.
Yeah,
Well, I would like to be present for a discussion at least on the Conservation Trust article. I want to note some changes we made in-house to our strategy and approach, and I do want to correct some I think, misinformation that has been shared. For example, the FinCom has discussed whether this is something that's allowed under the Conservation Trust. Under the Conservation Trust law and the law that establishes conservation commissions, it's 100% allowed. Sentence number 3 of the law that establishes conservation commissions dictates that they must use their trust funds to prepare open space and passive recreation plans. That's what we call an open space and recreation plan. That being said, hearing what the Finance Committee has said, and I did go back and listen to your recording when you discussed it, your concerns were very much rooted in the transparency of these articles, being able to understand where the funds are being spent, where the money from a local aspect comes from, and then what is getting billed against that account. So I've taken steps to make sure you have that level of transparency. This,
May I make one comment?
yes, go for it.
Is it okay if I'm Steve?
Yeah, no, thank you,
Thank you.
Rebecca.
Get home with the
I know
boys.
that was kind of painful for you, but
Have a
thank
good night,
you.
Rebecca. So in preparation for this meeting, I did have Hung Hwa make a change to the Conservation Trust account, effective based on a vote that the Conservation Commission took last week. Last week, the Conservation Commission authorized me to expend up to $15,000 of their Conservation Trust for the purposes of an open space and recreation plan. Namely because my grant is due at the end of this month. I don't have until an annual town meeting to hash all this out and to figure out exactly the approach. So what I've done is I've moved money from the trust into a side-by-side hold on the trust. So you'll see a $15,000 second account that you'll be able to make requests of, you'll be able to see the exact account history of, and I'll bring that over now.
So that's a second account that you've opened?
So you'll see the
And is
first
that
line
gonna
is
go
the
Hung Hwa?
core conservation trust, and the second one, and you'll see is individually titled OSRP 26/7.
So Hung Hwa, is this gonna go in front of town meeting like the police detail one is?
So it's just an.
Or is this just
It's
an expense?
It's just an expense line that they want to track. There's nothing.
But it's not an expense, right? It's some type of revolving fund.
It's an expense line.
But the $35,000 that's in the expense, but it's not expenses in the budget, right? It's coming out of a revolving.
It is coming out of the
fund.
Conservation Trust, which is the
Fund.
total of,
Yeah.
yes, the Conservation Trust Fund, which is a total value of $45,670.88. What this does, though, is it isolates specifically the funding that has been set aside for the open space and recreation plan,
I
allowing you
understand
to track that
I
separately.
understand that. What I'm trying to figure out is this legitimately, are we opening a new fund?
No.
This is just breaking it out.
Yeah, it's just
So it's just the
breaking it
one
out.
fund, but you're just tracking the
Yes,
expenses that way?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's fine.
And so this allows you better tracking and administration of those accounts. The Conservation Commission has already taken their vote because they understand that the applications are due this month. I can't emphasize enough. Mass General Law dictates that this is a lawful use
Yeah,
of
well, no one's-
conservation trust
I don't think
funds.
anyone is questioning whether it's lawful. I think the question was about transparency, and the fact that in the past, that fund's intention was for a different intention in the town. I don't want to hear about the Mass General Law, I've heard it multiple times, but I think it just past practices in town is dictated what the assumption was, what this was used for. I understand you can use it for this. I appreciate that you broke it out in a separate line item. I just think that the question was about transparency. This gives us more transparency. We need to have conversations about all of these accounts, not
Yeah,
just
we
the
don't
conservation.
routinely see these accounts.
Right.
That's the thing.
But we really should.
But we should, yeah.
We really
yeah.
should.
That's a different topic. I
Right,
think.
that's a different topic. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you broke this out like this. And
That's
this
great.
is, not a hill I'm gonna die on. I just,
Yeah.
I'm just working on past practices and
Yeah.
what the intention initially was in this town.
Yeah, the
Right.
question had been raised too, by this board, how had we paid for these in the past? Your first open space and recreation plan dating back to 1963 was paid for out of the trust when the Conservation Commission was first established. From that point forward, the town did the plan in-house until 2015, at which point you then used the Conservation Trust to match a grant from our regional councils of government. And again, in 2022, we expended the entirety of the cost. No grant match, no grants were brought in to do it. But in 2022, we used the trust to cover the entire cost of the plan.
And how much is the plan? I'm just
I'm
more
ballparking
curiosity.
the plan at about 60,000. The last time it
60,000.
was done, it was only an update to an existing plan. When you do an update, you then need to go out and you really need to do a more robust planning process, which in speaking with members of the AgCom, the RecCom, and the ConsCom, there is a general unity on that of yeah, we could probably use with a more robust planning process.
And this is still going from a 5 to a 10-year plan? Or?
Yes,
Yep.
the intent is for this to be a full 10-year plan, and then to incorporate these findings and recommendations into your master plan, which will offset some of the level of engagement we have to do on that only 2 or 3 years later.
Because again, people need to understand that it's a $60,000 plan.
Yes.
Which makes perfect sense, we gotta get it done, I'm not arguing about that. You're gonna get a grant, but it almost looks like this is a $15,000 plan, and it is not,
No.
clearly. It is definitely not, so, but without it being part of an article, separate article, broken out separately for people to see, sometimes that gets lost in translation. And I think that's important, because at some point, maybe it doesn't get funded under that, and it gets funded as a general article, or, whatever. I think people need to understand, this is not a cheap plan, it has to be done, we know that. None of us are arguing whether it needs to be done, but it is a $60,000 plan, so.
Is there anything set up to ensure that in 10 years, this breaking up of the account happens again? Or is it sort of just next time it comes around, we strategize separately?
So this is born specifically because the CONSCOM took a vote, and then I contacted Hanwha to break out the line item so that it would be separated. We also spoke about the expiration date, and we said on this it's fiscal year 2028. Our plan needs to be done by December of 2027, so if by the end of fiscal year 2028 we haven't, this would need to get folded back into the Conservation Commission,
And
or to the
this-
Conservation Trust.
This account has, after this $25,000 deposit,
15,000.
no, I'm sorry, from CPC, the
Yes.
$25,000 article, you are gonna have, they're gonna have about $70,000 in that account. Because you've taken the,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
If you're including what we've held aside for the
Yeah,
OSRP,
if you don't
then
include
yes.
that, then you're at, no, not 40, because you're at 30,000.
Then
You
we'd
take
be
the
at roughly
15 out,
55.
You've got, you're talking about 55, so,
Yes.
okay.
Wait, but the answer to your question was, yes, we'll have to bring it up again in 10 years.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like,
think-
in order to go through this similar process where we have transparency on a separate line for an open space recreation plan, separate from the Conservation Trust.
Sounds like, yeah.
There's no
Yes.
process that's gonna make that happen again next
No,
time.
it's gonna be
No.
the same
Based on-
conversation.
No, the Conservation Commission has carte blanche authority over this account. I can't just spend it because I choose to. I have to go to them and get a vote authorizing it, which is exactly what I did in this instance, and then reflected it back in the accounting.
It's just since it's like a rolling thing, I almost wish we were putting a certain amount into it yearly, and then it comes time, like the assessments or something.
I almost-
We have to do it every 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
It's like a surprise, let's strategize for it. It should just be something that is coming up again, and we see it on the horizon, maybe.
And to that end, too, I recognize that what the Conservation Commission has put in is a larger request than normal. We do 10,000 every year. We've done that for many years. It started as 5,000 back in 2011, and we've since then escalated that to 10. The part I'm not putting in writing out of respect to various property owners is there are some families that are aging out and passing away. And there are some really beautiful pieces of land that between the Conservation Commission, the Agricultural Commission, the Recreation Commission, they would love to see some of those come into the fold. So would many of your residents. This town has a beautiful, beautiful log of conservation parcels, agricultural parcels, and recreation parcels. And this is the mechanism by which when they come on the market, we have our seat at the table. And right now, what's in this account, I can't do much with it. And so this 25,000 helps get us back to a point where we can have a seat at that table, whether it's land that's already on the market or land that's going to be in the market in the next 5 years. This plan will also help us prioritize what those parcels are. We'll do the planning process now, we'll designate those high priority sites, and then when they come on the market, we'll be poised and ready because we're making this larger contribution this year.
Okay, that's a good explanation. I haven't heard it put that way. And thanks for, this actually was my concern, like splitting out a line item and having some kind of explanation that wasn't just a blanket, we might have a parcel of land we might need to investigate somewhere in the future. So thanks for hearing that, and I appreciate you you bringing this, because it's been a long couple of months.
Has the list of conservation priorities changed then in the last few years?
The last time that a list was prepared was 2022. Every time you do an open space and recreation plan, you redo that list. But as a note, where we did an update that time, the most recent plan, that update was effectively a copy paste. We maybe reviewed it to say, okay, are some of these maybe now on the town coffers? Do we want to change any of these? But we didn't do the robust planning process of, let's look at the lands that have high biodiversity on them or have particularly large canopy. That's where this plan will be a little bit larger in cost because we're going to do the more robust review.
So is that a public plan? That list of target properties?
Yes, the open space and rec plan, including those lists of priority parcels, are available today.
And do you reach out to these potential people in advance of their demise?
Do you walk up to them and say, when you're dead, we would like your property?
No, each town handles it differently. Candidly, the way that I tend to work through these things, and that's not to say the CONSCOM does this, but I, as someone who works with them in this capacity, oftentimes I communicate with the estate before you ever get to that point. If a piece of land gets designated, it's not just, oh, we slapped it on a piece of paper and we let it sit on a shelf. It's, as we're going through the planning process, let's outreach to those property owners. Let's see what their intent is, because maybe they have the same intent. Maybe they go ahead and they put it in their final wishes that they actually want this to be the way that it folds out. And just by having that interaction, we have more time, and we're not just rushing to town meeting with only so much on the books and then asking for an immediate spend. I think we'll see that probably in the nearer future, because unfortunately some landowners who had deep conservation agriculture roots have passed away in recent years. But this also gives us the opportunity to feel that out from the start.
And the other thing is, we're lucky in town because we have the VCT. So the VCT has stepped in many times when we've been between meetings to do a lot of the engineering, and they reach out to a lot of the landowners in town prior to their death. Years prior, to talk to them about, the thoughts on the property. And so the VCT, they were instrumental in the Sergeant Road?
I think so, yeah.
Sergeant Road,
Yeah.
right, that
Yeah,
last piece of
yeah.
property we bought.
Very much so.
Pulling that together, getting donations and all of that. So we're lucky that we not only have the CONSCOM and the planner, but we also have an independent group that kind of puts money into some of these projects before the town does. Yeah,
Okay.
so.
So are we saying that Alec goes through the CPC stuff with us on the board?
No,
No.
he wanted to discuss this one unless
Right.
anyone else has a question about any of the other CPC stuff.
No.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Alec.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
I'll pack up my little corner real quick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay. Let's get on. Let's skip next to, because of timing, while Hong was here, and talk about reserve fund transfers. So there's 2 reserve fund transfers up, which I'm going to put up on the screen, I think. Yeah. So the first one is for $84.50 for salary for the treasurer collector assistant. Can you just talk us through this one, Onwa?
Yeah, so this was over because during the transition of the treasurer collector, that position, we ending up using the temp agency to help the treasurer's office, like benefits and stuff. And also, Carly was also doing payroll at that time because of the transition. So that's why it's for that amount. Because when Carly does the payroll and the temp agency, we had charged it to the treasurer's line. So that's why it's over. And we use, and also that Kate from the temp, that she had worked there for temporary until Marsha came in. So part of that salary was charged to that too.
So my question is, the temp agency literally sent like a person to work in the office?
Yes.
Not a consultant to come in, this was a
Correct,
person?
yes.
So I'm still a little confused because we had budgeted for the treasurer collector salary for the admin, right?
Right.
The admin's not there, right? We haven't, so we use the temp agency, and then we pay Carly, but I don't understand how we ran out of money. Like, that's because, did we under budget? It's March, and we're out of money to pay the treasurer collector's salary line. But if you don't have anyone you're paying.
It's assistant.
It's
It's the assistant,
It's
I'm sorry,
assistant,
right,
yeah.
no, I know that. But if you don't, if I'm the person working in the office and I'm getting paid, and then I leave the office and you bring in somebody through the temp agency, let's put Carly aside for a second. You bring in someone through the temp agency, you're paying them that salary. But even if you're paying a little bit more, I don't understand, I mean, there's only $2,300 left in that line item, which is probably what, another 2 or 3 payrolls. I don't understand how we ran out of money that quickly, because that person wasn't working. It's not like we were double paying people.
Well, don't.
Does that, am I not saying the right thing?
High, we pay them
So
really
was
high.
I'm just, that's what I'm
So
saying.
was the temp higher than?
Yeah, so the
than
temp
rate
and
for
also,
the
yeah,
full-time employee?
yes, yes, the
Okay.
rate is much
That's
higher
okay.
than the regular.
For the
employee.
temp.
It
Yeah,
can be like 10 to 30%.
And
It's
so,
like a travel nurse.
so,
it's crazy in the market.
so you're saying that the majority of this was for the temp and not for Carly?
it's Carly and the temp.
So how many hours, again,
So I would
go
say
back
most,
to-
I would say mostly is Carly in there.
So hang on.
So,
though,
but then Carly's hours,
But then Carly would have less hours
that
than you.
doesn't make sense.
So when
Yeah.
Carly does payroll,
Yeah.
and when we pay her, we literally do the percentage, like go to the,
Right.
to the treasure collector
Right.
administrator, and then her regular accountant goes to
So,
my
so
budget.
there's less hours in your office then? for
No,
Carly?
so she still only do that 19 and a half, she's still that 39, whatever, and the rest
So-
of it goes to the treasurer.
Right, but so hang on, so did Carly do extra hours? Or did she
She
just?
does extra hours.
Did she split her time between your office and the treasurer's office?
Yes, she
Which,
does
which?
the
Did she split it, did she split her, you know, if she, how many hours does Carly work a week?
So
Or
her
does she-
normally is 39 hours for 2 weeks.
So like, okay,
Like for
so
the
So
like-
whatever,
accountant.
19 and a
like
half.
19
Yeah,
and a half
19 and a
hours
half,
for the
yes,
week.
yes,
Okay.
9 hours.
So when she was working in the treasurer's office, was she working for less than 19 hours in the
No,
treasurer's?
so she does more than that.
So for your office, it's 39 hours for the 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we shouldn't be using Carly's name. We should be using
Oh,
the
I'm
position,
sorry.
okay?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make her, this is not about anybody,
Yes,
okay?
yes,
It's about
yes.
understanding. So so for the 2-week period, the assistant accountant works 39 hours. How many hours in that 2-week period did she work for the treasurer's office?
So it's 41, so because it's 80 totals.
So
40-something.
that's fine.
Yes.
So it's another 19 hours a week in the treasurer's office. This is where you're losing me. If Carly did most of that work, I don't understand how we blew through that budget that quickly. Because that was budgeted for a 19 and a half hour assistant for the treasurer. Right, so if the majority of the work, and you said it was being done in-house by, the payroll was being done by the assistant accountant. So the majority of that work was 19 and a half hours, was being done by in-house accountant. They should be on equal pay, fairly close, not exactly equal, whatever it is, it's gonna be very close. I mean, this is a $8,500 deficit in March. So again,
Yes.
I don't know that there's much we can do about this, we have to pay our
Well,
employees.
yeah,
but
so the
this doesn't
question
make
is,
sense.
were there more hours expended in total altogether
Right.
Yes,
in the treasurer's office than were budgeted for?
yes, because Carly, the
The assistant accountant
assistant accountant.
was there and the temp was there.
Yes.
So we
yes.
had two bodies.
So it took her 19 and a half hours to do the payroll.
So,
I'm not trying to be difficult. This is a big hole in the budget,
yeah,
and I'm not understanding the vacancy, the hours, and how we ended up with this hole. Are we budgeted properly? I don't understand.
It sounds like we had more hours in the treasurer's office.
Then how did that happen? Because the temp agency was a temp assistant, right? It was an administrative assistant for the treasurer's office. Or was
It
it,
sounds like,
So
it sounds like.
we have more
I know
hours.
How did it happen, but I think that's what happened.
I think we have more hours in total. I think we, rather than, so the treasurer assistant now does how many hours?
19 and a half, right?
19 and a half,
treasurer-
yes, yes.
So it sounds like we have more than 19 and a half hours of labour going into the treasurer's assistant position
Which I don't understand.
during that period of time.
And I don't know, so that
Well,
would
yeah, that's
mean,
where
There's
That's
fewer
like-
reps on it, you know, maybe it takes them a little bit longer doing
Yeah,
due
that's what I'm
diligence. They're
thinking,
not, you
yeah.
know, like I can imagine if
It
you're
sounds like it's-
filling in, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, cash that check until I'm 100%
So-
sure, and then they're also paying the temp percentage
So,
higher.
because originally when I came in, there
It's a
was
big
no
number.
backup payroll, so I came in, I trained Carly to be back of Naomi, because if she take vacation here, there's nobody do payroll at all.
Right.
So during
makes
that,
sense.
so I had started training her, and then when that transition, when she left, there's nobody do payroll at all. So Carly stepped in and do the whole entire payroll during that, from that time, the transition. She does the whole payroll.
so is this
she-
just for payroll?
Yes.
So
So,
again,
so
that-
she, no, so she technically, like, it's 80 hours that we did that, so not.
But 40 of those hours was for the
Yes,
treasurer?
yes.
For just payroll?
Yeah, yes.
So that's a lot of hours for payroll. I don't know. I can't vote, I'm not necessarily gonna vote against this, but I'm still not understanding how it took somebody 40 hours in a 2-week period to do payroll.
Is there any underlying math that you can show us? I don't mean to make extra work, but kind of where these hours came from? And
Yeah, like I can run the payroll report, the details of like how much people make, and then we split, how
But
we
we're-
split and charge it
I
to
think
there.
we're just trying to find out if there was extra time built. If the assistant's position was basically double-houred
Right.
for a period of time.
Yeah. It's
Not
like-
just payroll, but just
Right.
working more hours. And then if that's the case,
So the other,
why? And do we need to do something? Are we budgeted properly
Yeah,
for that
I mean,
position?
That could be a training thing or
Yeah.
just a
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
So that's all we're trying to find out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's not with regard to anybody specific, we're using names because we
yeah.
can't keep track of positions.
Because I know when we had that temp agency, that person, we did pay higher stuff, and also, when we hire Marsha, it's also higher rates to the previous,
So can you provide us that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do they need to sign off on this right now?
Yeah, I think we do, because
Okay.
there's not much left, and there's payroll. I mean, there's
Yeah.
$2,800 left in that account.
So-
I don't know what Marcia makes every
Why don't
week,
we
but,
just sign it
No.
conditionally with?
yeah,
well,
just, I mean, we
Yeah,
sign it
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
get the
we can
information.
sign off on it, and then you can come back next week.
I think it's
and
important to get that information.
Give us a bit more colour on this, because it sounds like a sort of mixture of more hours were spent.
Yeah,
Probably less efficiency, because there was a temp who
yeah.
learning the ropes, and an assistant accountant who was learning the ropes, and probably
Right.
more hours spent
That's not
than.
And I'm not,
Yeah.
that's fine if that's what it is. I just want to
Efficiency,
understand it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So now,
But does that answer your question? Was it also under budgeted too?
well, so no, not really, because, right, I mean,
Okay.
it sounds like if that's the case, what Tony just said, then it wasn't under budgeted, and this year it should be properly budgeted, hopefully. If Marcia's making more money, the assumption is, I'm sorry, the assistant treasurer is making more money, then my assumption is that next year's budget is properly budgeted,
Yeah.
right?
Well, when it was
Next year's.
budgeted, we didn't know there was gonna be like a
That was last year.
townwide audit of the housing stock, and aren't they doing more,
No.
the treasurer, aren't they doing more, weren't they just doing like an audit
Yeah.
recently? Like, isn't that?
Well,
isn't
they
that-
were doing an audit,
Yeah, but
but
isn't that more for
there's
their
another,
department to
no,
do,
wait,
or-
there's another
no?
RFT for $15,000 for that. So take the audit out of there. That's the second one we're gonna get to.
You're right. So the
But
answer
you're,
is yes.
yes, the answer is yes, but we're gonna give them money for that separately.
All right.
So I just wanna understand that, and now that we have an assistant treasurer, because she's not an assistant to the, she's an assistant treasurer, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that is a higher position, right?
Yeah.
Is the assistant treasurer gonna learn to do payroll? Because my understanding of municipal law is the accounting department and the treasury department are supposed to be somewhat, there's supposed to be a line between them, particularly around payroll, because that's how you keep, you know, it's two different sides.
So
Do-
who
do
does payroll?
different. So is Marcia being trained?
She is working right now with Emily, both of them are doing payroll right now.
So
'cause we
payroll's
have-
being done in the treasury department now?
Yeah, because we transitioned, we gave
Okay.
it back to them today.
Which is where it should be,
Yes.
right? It should be,
Yes.
yeah, legally that way. Okay, and then they'll have their own backup. So if Emily's on vacation,
Marsha.
the assistant will be able to
Yeah,
pick it up and
yeah.
vice versa.
And if they don't have it, I will do it. I will be the other backup.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would be willing to sign this, but I definitely would like a little more information about, I mean, how many hours everybody was working.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
making sure we're in the right place. Do we need to vote this? I think we do.
So, yeah, so,
Yeah,
okay.
Gary's telling me yes.
So I'll make a motion then to add the sum of 8,450.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Okay, so I'm going to pass this round the table.
Yep.
Okay, so the second one is for 16,000.
For the auditor. It was a really good question, though. You were right on it.
Tony, is that really your name?
It's sort of my thing, yeah. It's the best I can do, sorry.
Okay, so.
Oh, no, this is not what I thought it was. I thought this was for the auditor.
This is not, oh, well, it is, right, wait a minute. So this is a little confusing, because it says motor vehicle mailings, demand mailings now through now? mailings from now through June 2026?
So why is this not budgeted?
I don't know.
So this is, Emily's, the treasurer, said Kelly and Ryan, it's doing that motor vehicle mailing.
Right.
That's part of
But
that.
that should be
Yeah.
part of the lockbox, like the excise tax?
Well, no, but the main, yeah, I got mine yesterday, right?
Yeah,
They-
me
Yeah, I got mine too. I got all of mine yesterday, yes. My husband and his cars.
Yeah, yeah, so, but that's a regular thing, right? There's nothing, we shouldn't need extra money for that.
Right, so the only thing is, it says cash
And then the
recon
cash recon
consultant and
consultant.
payroll.
Yeah,
So what is
cash
that?
Cash recon consultant, that's the consultant doing the cash thingy right now. So she's hoping to get it done by the end of this month. That's the consultant audit that she's doing right now in the treasure collectors.
So who are Kelly and Ryan?
Kelly and Ryan is the deputy collector. They go out and I guess they do the billing for the treasure collector.
I think they're like a service
Yeah.
Like the lockbox service?
that send out all the mailings for you.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
like you.
So why is that not budgeted?
That should be budgeted. That's why I don't know
And-
what is on here.
Right, so the,
Is this
So-
additional, like with the
so
chase
what-
down, like what we were doing with the real estate
no,
stuff?
I wonder
No,
if,
this is just
because it's
run-of-the-mill?
under services,
Or is that,
has the money for the consultant to do
yeah,
the cash reconcilement been coming out of there?
yeah, exactly. Where does the consultant, is that coming, what budget is that coming out of? What line?
It should come out of that line item.
It should come out of the vehicle bill
Services.
mailing?
No, it's,
Right,
it's
well, it sounds
all,
like it
it's
did.
all under services.
Okay,
Treasurer, where it says treasurer collector services,
okay.
I think that's the line.
So it's
Thing.
under, out of this
Do
huge
they-
bucket, but now we've run out of money for Kelly
Well,
and Ryan.
we
to
have
just-
it.
Do we have a consulting line for treasurer?
Listen, I'm going to put now here. So it's so what's the treasurer code?
145.
Yeah.
I think motor vehicle, it comes out of supplies and, no.
I don't see consultant. A
Motor
travel
vehicle
training.
and real estate tax mailing comes out of 145 supplies and printing.
So there's,
So there's no, we don't have a line item for consultant? I saw.
There's
well,
services.
let me just
Is it-
unhide that. Because there's a code on there, right? There's a-
Can you share, please?
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm not sure, sorry.
5-2.
No, there's nothing that would make sense.
Yeah.
Unless it's under salary because it's a person doing it. No.
So it would be under services. So wait,
Yeah, it's
not.
5-2, 5-2, 5-200,
Yeah.
14-8.
Services is borrowing fees though.
Yeah, 14-8 in the amount of. So there's no
There's this line here
consulting.
then, right?
Right,
Yeah.
that line there. So there's no consulting fees budgeted, which is weird. There used to be, but having said that, it's entirely possible that the past accountant, she loved to consolidate things, so she may have consolidated, the consulting was never 14,000. So that may have gotten consolidated into services. Is
So
there
what
any
was that?
notes on services?
Nope. Well, actually, there's borrowing fees including legal
On services?
on services. Treasurer
that's
collector
how is that
services. 145, 52, 5200.
Yeah.
Which is totally none of what is being
Mhm.
listed.
But when is that note from? Because it's in notes. So like, I think
Right,
rehashing
we
this,
need to-
notes
yeah.
is supposed to be like a general, this
Yeah.
is what this is for, and then comments need to be when it's year to year, anything that has to do with a budget because it timestamps it.
And what were you saying about postage, or you're saying supplies and printing?
Yeah, supplies and printing is for
The
mailings.
lockbox?
It doesn't say the lockbox, it says mailing.
Yeah, that would be the
Yeah.
service that mails out our tax
There's
bills,
also
Right.
lockbox line item on row 48.
which is empty, and that got consolidated. That's one of those things that the previous
You
accountant.
think it all got lumped
Yeah,
together?
I
and
think so.
labeled?
I think so. It just,
Okay.
which makes it kind of miserable when you're trying to find stuff out.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're saying this is a consulting fee, and we've run out of money for the two guys to collect the tax.
It sounds like it's a consulting fee for the cash recon, and I think that's what it was, probably been charged to that would be this consultant, which makes sense. But this was, again, this was an unforeseen, cash wasn't reconciled, we need to bring this person in to do it, so that's how we ended up there. But again, 16 grand.
16 grand on a 14,800 budget.
Right, but we had the audit, and then we had to bring these consultants in to do, I mean, the cash hadn't been reconciled for
Yeah.
a long time, and they went back into FY, so we're in 27, they
Yeah.
did 26, and then they did a few months into FY
Is it
25.
completed?
Is the cash reconcilement done?
She's hoping to get it done by the end of this month.
It should result in revenue too. I know it's revenue that we already should rightfully have, but it'll mean we collect
Oh, yeah.
more of it, so.
I wonder if we should go back,
Just,
though.
I mean, spending this much to fund the audit means that, or the mailings means that we collect those excise
But the
taxes.
mailings were gonna be, yeah, but the mailings were gonna be done anyway, the excise tax is fixed, this is extra money to fix the issues in the treasurer's office,
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
the way it's presented in this document makes it look like we're paying for the thing.
Right, but I think that's what it is, I think
Right.
they were included in that, but because of, just needs to be a little more explanation on that. But again, I think people need to get paid and we need to collect taxes. We just need to be,
Yeah.
I think we knew this was happening, I think maybe a heads up to FinCom if we, like, we knew this, I don't think we put numbers around what that meant. But
What
we
does
knew
that
this,
mean?
that we knew that there was a consultant doing the cash
Yes,
reconciling.
exactly.
I don't think we put numbers around it.
Yeah.
We never asked.
We
how
never
we're paying for
asked,
this.
Yeah, yeah.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
so part of it's on us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We should have asked how we paid for it, but
Yeah.
maybe the next time we have something pop like this,
But I'm
you
just
know, you
wondering.
can say, and oh, by the way, this is how we're paying for it, we're gonna
Okay.
need a reserve fund transfer.
As
Okay.
far as structuring the budget, I mean, we've already voted this budget line,
Right.
but it's 25,000 in here is a pretty big number, which we don't know what's in there.
Right,
And I'm wondering whether if it's been consolidated from other places.
no, because it was already, the consolidation was done the year before.
Right.
Because if you look at the FY '26, right, this year's already been consolidated.
Yes.
So what is that $25,000 number?
Well, exactly, that's what I want to know. I want to know what that.
Why
how it
that went
breaks
up
out.
so much,
Right.
yep.
I can find that email that Emily sent to request that amount. I can find that email.
But more importantly, do we know what that $25,000 number in the FY '27 budget is?
That's what I mean, that she's the one who
Oh,
submitted it.
who,
Yeah.
to request that number,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I thought you meant to request the RFT.
No.
I was confused, okay.
Because if it's other lines merged together,
We should know that.
although I can't see anything that really goes down here. actually.
Right, is there just gonna be another line that has this excess
Yeah.
that flows into free cash for no reason? That-
But did, Emily came after the budget was done, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not putting any blame on anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking it'd be nice, it'd be good to know what's in that 25,000.
To understand that, yeah. Because presumably, we're not gonna have consultants and various other people
Well, yeah,
in the
yeah.
treasurer's office next
So
year.
how much is the Kelly and Ryan, for example? which,
Right.
you know, and what else we need to think about in that line of services? If Kelly and Ryan is 16,000 or something. I
Oh, no,
mean-
so, Kelly, Ryan, Emily put it, let me see, 10,000.
Right,
For Kelly, Ryan is a 10,000 something, mailing, motor vehicle mailing, billing.
right. So what
10,000.
else, what's the
And
other 15,000
Then the 5,000 we estimating is the consultant.
That's fair, that's what it's always been.
Yeah,
Right.
and then the payroll service, that's the Harper's.
Oh, that's the difference, we switched payroll services.
Yeah, that's the Harper's.
And that's the Harper's payroll service that we changed.
Right, okay, but you've got a payroll line here, which is empty.
Right. So that payroll line, which has been empty, probably got consolidated up into services, but this year we switched services to a different service, we went to
Right.
Harper's, and that's the extra 10,000. I think we heard that from,
But shouldn't we put that in the payroll line then, so at least we can see what it is?
so I think this budget should be decoupled. I think all of them should, and this is how Hunghwa inherited this budget, because
Yeah.
the previous accountant liked everything consolidated.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
tough to read everything if it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
consolidated. It just, you know.
I found her email. The services are 25,000.
Yeah,
She said this is anticipation of the fourth quarterly tax mailing to take effect on July 1st of 26, so FY 27.
July 1st of 26. So 10,000 for Kelly and Ryan.
No, I'm talking about the FY 27, the 25,000 that you questioned.
Yeah.
The services. So
That's not this? Okay.
she's saying is the anticipation of the fourth quarterly tax mailing to take effect
Because
on
she's
July
gonna go,
1st.
we're gonna go to 4 quarters of mailings rather than 2 quarters of mailings.
I don't know, that's what she said.
How much
That's
is
what
that?
That can't be that much, surely.
That can't be right.
Why?
That's what she's
Because,
asking.
so right now, we get mail twice a year, right, with our tax bills?
Yeah, so the fourth
I pay
quarter,
mine automatically, so I don't even.
not 4 quarters.
know what-
So right now we
But is
get,
it $25,000 a quarter?
I'm confused.
nope,
Yeah.
what do you mean a quarter?
No.
No, 25,000 for the year.
You
And-
just told me it was $25,000 for Q4.
Cover the fourth
No,
quarter.
but that's not right.
No.
I'm telling you, it can't be right, because because the consultant fees are in there, payroll's in there,
Kelly and Ryan.
and Kelly and Ryan's in there.
Yeah.
And that equals $25,000. Before you read that last email, you said Kelly and Ryan was 10,000, the consultant was 5,000, and the extra 10 was payroll, correct?
No, so I was.
Oh, you were talking about your RFT.
Yeah,
We're
the
getting
RFT,
confused.
the 16 thingy.
All right, so I guess maybe we have to ask Emily for a better explanation on that 25, even though,
Yes.
because we don't know what that is. I think I don't know, we need to get a better explanation.
Yeah.
Kind of late in the game, but.
But don't we,
No choice.
again, we need to approve this?
Yes.
We need to approve this because people need to get paid.
Yes, yes.
But could we ask for more clarity on?
Well, let's make a motion to approve it.
Oh, the
Um,
25? Yeah.
The 25 and the RFT? Or no?
No.
We're going to approve that,
We've
okay.
already voted the treasurer's
Okay.
budget. So this is a motion to approve $16,000. Someone make a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Maybe it would be helpful in the future, when we have big RFTs like this, that the department heads join us on the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right? Because
Okay.
you can't know,
yeah.
you know, it's great
Puts
that
you
you're
in a
here,
tough spot.
but you can't know
Yes.
everybody's.
It puts you in a very tough
Yeah, it
spot.
does, right? Because Emily may have been able to answer all of those questions off the top of her head.
Okay.
So maybe in the future, if we have RFTs,
Okay.
we'll just have them, and they can join via Zoom.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the FY27 budget for more fun. So we've had lots of discussions today about debt servicing costs.
I don't want to have this conversation.
I don't think it's all bad, actually.
Okay, good.
We've had a lot of discussion about this. So what we've been trying to figure out is what should go in the budget for debt servicing for FY27. And
I need chocolate.
we have the Hilltop CIP sheet.
That's the yellow one, right?
Yeah, and data that Hilltop were given to us.
Okay.
So what I'm working with Honghua today, what we figured out is that we really need to relabel some of our ClearGov categories. So basically, these lines in ClearGov that say long-term debt, that's only principal payments. And then we've got two lines here which are which is bond interest and ban interest. We then have this what's currently labelled debt principal, which actually is the new debt interest for the special town meeting stuff we voted last night.
So debt principal is the new debt interest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait.
Yes.
What?
So it's not debt principal.
Why?
So
It's complicated.
So we're going to add a new line, which will be short-term. No, sorry. So that will get rolled into this short-term debt interest line, basically.
Okay.
And that number is actually about 206,000, not
Wait.
116,000.
Wait.
Because of the adding together? Or
No.
Before.
Because the 160 number is what we had originally from Hilltop. The most recent number is 206,000, based on the most recent estimates.
So we're going up $100,000 on debt principal.
$206,000.
Up 206,000?
No, it is
Or
200.
two?
It's
So it's, okay, so it's $90,000. Okay.
But it's debt excluded.
Excluded debt.
So that will go into this line here, line 30. We're also this year going to be making principal payments on some of the bans, because the bans are interest only for a certain number of years, and after some certain time, you have to start paying principal off.
Why aren't we rolling those into a bigger bond?
Well, we will when it gets to a certain number. They're not yet at a number which is worthwhile bonding.
Is the interest higher on the short-term bands?
Good question. I think it's the
Because-
same. I think it's the same, actually.
Is it the same as if we had
Yeah.
already?
Yeah.
Because I know we want it, it's less expensive to bond when you're bigger, right? You don't want a bunch of little bonds, but
Yeah.
is there a minimum bond?
I think they're saying like 5 million, I think that's what I heard at one point.
Is that like a real minimum bond, like regulatory,
I
or
think
like?
the issue is, there's a cost
It's
to
the
go
cost
on.
of setting up, yeah.
So if you
yeah.
go, in, the same amount of cost is the same for whether it's a 200,000 or 2 million.
Okay,
So if you know, every time you go, every year, you do a 200,000, you're spending the same amount of money, and it's waiting a couple of years to then roll it into a large bond. And we typically do
Yeah.
around $2 million in bonding.
Yeah. So anyway, so
what do we have outstanding for bands?
So that's the other question, right? So there's also a bunch of stuff here, and this is the stuff I've been on about for the last year. Yeah, this on the stuff which you've authorised, voted, and it's not yet banned. So we've got some road maintenance lines, we've got a fire tender, we've got a fire truck in there, we've got the ambulance, we've got Hager Well, and the question I put to Mike today, and he's going to go and figure out the answer to this, is which of these are we going to actually go ahead and spend this year? And I think all of the road maintenance, for example, is going to get spent this year.
Right, that's what I
from him.
heard from, that's what we heard from DPW,
Yeah,
from Ed.
yeah. But for things like I think the Hager Well, I think there's no cost for that now. I think it's been covered already with.
But when you say that, are you talking about this year's road maintenance? Or
I'm
the
talking about
2022 maintenance?
I'm talking about money which we need to probably budget because it will start to hit our budget in FY27.
I understand that, but Ed's on the schedule. I'm going to do $300,000 every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So we've already got the ban authorized in our back pocket, don't we, of $500,000 from 2022. So how do?
Well,
how's
yeah,
that work?
he's got 2 or 3 lots of 300,000 that have been authorised. He hasn't spent it yet.
Right.
And he said this year he was going to spend, I think he was
Yeah.
going to do 900,000 this year.
Yeah.
So between what he has from the Chapter 90 plus the $300,000.
Okay, so, but we're not, as a matter of habit, just going out and asking for another $300,000 for this year's road maintenance.
Yeah, we are. Every year we are doing that.
Why are we doing that when we've got $500,000?
It's a planned maintenance thing.
Because I don't know how we got that far behind. I think the goal is that, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, the goal is the 300,000 from the town was supposed to match what we were getting so that we would have $600,000 a year to go out.
And the match from the state has come down a little bit.
Okay, whatever,
But
but that was
that's-
originally the guide.
Right.
Right, but there's,
Right,
yes.
so other things got in the way, right? So we've got a credit of $500,000. Why are we asking one more when we're already?
It's not really a
behind?
credit. It's not really a credit. It's
Well,
just
it's a bond
It's a
authorization,
permission to spend
Yeah.
$500,000.
600,000. He hasn't done,
yeah.
he hasn't done 2 of them, so we
Yeah.
do 300 a year.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at 22, 24.
I think 22 actually it has been banned. Actually, I think that's incorrect.
So,
Yeah.
So I'm just, okay.
so is these dollar amounts or what? Principal interest on these bands? This is the debt service.
This is the debt service. So it'd be
On
interest
these
only,
bands,
basically.
right.
Yeah. So the question is, which of them will hit us in 27?
Well, we know the work, Ed said the road maintenance.
Yeah.
The ambulance,
Ambulance is covered, I think.
it's covered by the enterprise account, so we can take that out,
Right.
right? We're supposed to actually, no, that's not on the warrant, is it? We're supposed to have a revote on that bond at town meeting
Huh.
to get rid of that bond authorization.
Tony, I have to run, I'll do the rest from the
Okay.
TV.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Good night.
And then again, all right, so the ambulance vote, so I have that. So the ambulance comes off.
Yeah.
That's covered.
And Hager Well, I think, was also covered, right? Because the school paid some money.
The
towards-
school owes money, they
Yeah.
paid, but I don't know that it's, yeah, we're gonna have to get clarification on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then the fire
big-
truck.
big. But, Mike, had that 72,000, the Hager Well, he's using the ARPA funds. That's why we did.
Oh, right.
Okay, so
right.
that's, then we're done with that.
We're done with that. Then
So
the
does that just go, if you find alternative sources for
No,
funding?
it doesn't just go away, it stays out there, so we actually have to go back with an article to rescind these bond
Yeah,
votes.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
so that was supposed to be done with the ambulance,
thank you.
it's not in
Yeah.
the article.
Yeah.
And if Mike says Hager well, then it will be one article that says we're gonna rescind these bond,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah,
need
you just don't wanna
to,
leave it
I didn't
open.
see that article in the warrant.
Yeah, you're right
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Okay.
No,
And
because
the-
he wants to finish, to make sure the project is complete, to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And then the fire truck, we only pay for when it's ready off the production line.
It comes off the production line, we have to pay for it before it goes to be upfitted.
Yeah, and so he was gonna check on when that's gonna be.
Yeah, and he actually was thinking this might be this year.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah.
that's what,
Right.
Kevin was saying, but he wasn't
Right,
100%
so
sure.
so the question is, which of these ones here have to go in the budget, because they're not in the budget right now. So we need to add to the budget, probably another $150,000.
Plus that 206 that you pointed to up top, or is that
Plus-
this?
plus- Well, plus.
The 100.
Plus some of the 206, right, because it's about 90,000 from that.
Can you, where is that 206?
It's not in here yet, so the 206 will be this line here, this 116 will be 206.
Okay.
So that will drop down into this short-term debt interest line. So that'll add to this, so that'll become,
I
So
know,
our net plus is what?
a lot.
And somehow you said you felt good about this.
I know, I'm feeling not as good as you.
I'm feeling a little bit better about this, because the other thing that I'm pretty sure of is that our excluded debt number will also increase by 200,000.
Still, it's debt.
I know you don't like debt, and then the
Right, the excluded debt's gonna increase hopefully next Tuesday night.
then we've got this 724,000 of school excluded debt,
Yep,
which I'm trying to get a clear answer from Hilltop on, but basically, it looks to me like that was all for the Ballball school
so
bonding.
is it Hilltop that would give us that information, or is it the region?
Well, Hilltop fill out the DE1 form, which is what goes to the state about
And-
the.
Do they really?
Yeah, I think so,
For the
yeah.
Boardwalk
Yeah.
campus debt.
Yeah,
That's bizarre, because you would think the region took one bond out.
but the Hilltop cover everything, right? They cover the school as well, probably. And,
That I don't
But
know, I
it's-
assume,
Are they
but
gonna
I'm not.
add it to the nice yellow spreadsheet?
I haven't had that conversation with them.
It would be very helpful if they did.
It would be helpful, yeah. But we know it's real, 'cause it's in the DE1, and that's the number that's been in excluded debt. So those are 30-year bonds. I went back and looked, and our share, but we had like an $11 million share of that.
Yeah, it was about 11 million, yep.
So that's 30 years. So that's going to be on the books for another. That was 2000.
But that comes in through our assessment.
Right, but we get to score the debt exclusion.
We do, okay, all right, so,
So
right.
when you look at the actual budget.
I just don't wanna
model-
I just don't wanna double count that debt
When
when we
you look
look
at
at
the
this.
budget model, everything we can increase on the debt exclusion line
Yep,
actually improves our bottom line.
right, okay.
So the bottom line is getting worse because we're adding more debt servicing to it, but we're also getting a little bit more buffer at the top. So how's it going to work out?
Well, it improves our clearance. It
Yes.
doesn't improve our bottom line.
Improves our, well, that's what I'm thinking about as our bottom line, is our clearance.
Okay, you should not be thinking that way, John. Sorry.
But,
I know it's-
I don't understand
Yeah.
how we missed some of this, I don't understand this. What am I missing? Like, what, is it because up until, 2 months ago, we had a treasurer that didn't understand this either? I don't understand.
Well,
I don't think we
yeah.
had the level of detail that you're looking at right here
Yeah.
on all of our debt.
Yeah.
Right, why? Because the debt should have been broken out, we
Because
should
it's not
have this.
consolidated.
It's
One, like the school debt's
different.
off the yellow
Bits.
table.
It's different bits of information. So Homework gets a sheet from Hilltop that says, here's your debt servicing costs for next year, which is what you put in the budget, based on what you've borrowed so far. But there's been nothing given from Hilltop about what could hit the books based on what we've authorised.
Okay,
So that's the bit that we're
And
missing.
also, we've never consolidated what we haven't.
so are
Capitalized
we
on
working with
that.
Emily,
Yeah.
because the debt all should go through treasury, right? Are we working with Emily to make sure that going forward, the treasurer has a handle on all that and understands, has got all these little different pieces in a form
Well,
that we can?
this is I think, just a bit of a learning process. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've sat with Emily and Hongwa and Mike today, been through this whole thing, and sort of piece together all the bits of the jigsaw to try and figure this out, because it's not been clear
Yeah.
what all of these lines mean and where they came from. So now
We're
I've got
looking
a
at-
bit of,
they all need to be in one spot,
yeah,
so that we can say, this is how much debt we have.
right.
But that should all
They're
run
gonna
through
be
the treasurer,
triple
right?
What's that?
That should all run through the treasurer.
Yes.
And she gathers the information from the different spots and says, here's your debt number.
Yes.
Yes,
That's- I mean, that's
ideally,
done
the
for-
treasurer should fill in the ClearGov budget line and be able to put in all the things that we're going to be needing servicing going, for the year.
Yeah, I mean, one comment I made, I think I made it, yesterday, wow, was that one?
It just feels like it was a week ago, yeah.
But we need to clean up the titling, I know you're trying to do that.
That's what I'm trying to do, right? So,
And then we need to break out from administration, I just said this yesterday, so that we can see what our debt schedule is going forward. And we can't enable, why do we break out debt and principal for each of those years? I don't understand why do we have that?
Why is it not just debt?
Here's our debt,
Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
exactly, and then,
Why are we
yeah.
adding that layer of complexity?
you want debt service, you want just total debt servicing.
This is what we have to pay, I
Well,
don't
yeah.
care if it's principal and interest.
Well, that's
It's
well,
gonna
yeah.
be-
That's when I did my analysis. That's what I did. Right. This is the same numbers, but I've got principal and interest here.
Okay,
It adds up to the same number in the end. But I mean, but it's this is from Hilltop Sheet. So yeah, we could do that. We could.
It just, because we're not expensing the interest. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, there's no
when you're
question.
doing the debt service, I do debt service, I wanna make sure I got my principal and interest separate. Doesn't matter to us, it's all coming out of the same pot.
When you see the round numbers, it can help like remember what they were. You know what I mean?
So maybe
Seeing it both
that's the
ways helps,
detail
yeah.
that folds up into
Right,
one
and
line.
Hilltop does that, Hilltop has it, but they also consolidate it
Yeah.
into total payment, I think, or total.
Yeah, principal and interest. Yeah. So we could do that as well. I mean, but that's how it's in ClearGov right now. It's got principal and it's got then interest for bonds, interest for bands, and then we're going to add in a principal for bands as well. As we need to do that.
All right, so we need to add 90,000. We need to, I'm just trying to figure out how much this is going up. We don't know because we don't know about the debt yet.
We don't know how much of this is going to hit us. So this is what Mike's going to come back and say, here's what Ed's going to take and here's what the fire chief's going to take.
And Hagerwell confirmed that.
And confirm how well.
And
And the
they
ambulance.
should know
So
that by now.
This number here
right?
should
Yeah.
be
It's not up
You would
for
think.
debate.
Okay, so
It
let's
better be
assume
smaller
that's
than that.
How do we, so for 2027, what of those columns am I adding together? I'm adding the 746 at the top there?
For 2027, yeah. So, well, for 2027, you're adding together these columns here, which is all the principals.
All right, so your row 257 is where, that's the
You're doing-
consolidated debt from above, right? This is what it really is.
Road 257 is can be gone. It's the 2006 long-term debt. There's nothing in there.
Okay, so
Okay,
925
no,
to
but just that section
173.
in your spreadsheet. Is
Yes.
that 925 the total number for 27, as far as you're concerned?
Plus
Well,
another
well,
90.
Plus the
It needs to be
160
changed because this number here is
Okay.
there'll be 206,000 added to this line here, short-term debt interest.
Yeah, so that's a 90.
Question on process, is that
So hold on one
your
second.
decision to
So it's gonna go to a
consolidate the line? Just the consolidation of that line, is that,
Well, that's what it is, right? It is short-term debt interest.
okay.
So that 925 is gonna go to 1,025,000 roughly?
925 is gonna go to 1,015,000.
Million what, I'm sorry?
15,
Okay.
Right.
And what was it originally?
pre all of this?
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know.
because that's the number that we have to swap.
Well,
And
no,
to your question?
this is the numbers in ClearGov
Doesn't
right
ever
now,
been done.
925.
Oh,
We haven't
okay.
had a
All
decent
right, so you're
treasurer
telling me the
since,
delta is
until
gonna be
Emily
roughly
in years.
So
15,000.
we're gonna take out that line there, and we're gonna add in 206,000 to this line down here. So that'd be, what's that? That's 264,000.
I don't know what's going on here. You all of a sudden lost me. I'm just doing it on paper and I don't know what you're doing anymore,
Yeah,
so
I'm-
I'm gonna let you get to the number and you tell me.
206.
206 plus 62 is 268, right?
206 plus 62?
Yeah.
Yeah, 268,000,
roughly, okay?
yeah, and change.
Yeah. And then we're gonna add to that, some more interest and principle for this stuff here, which we don't yet know how much is real there.
Where's the 90 come in? You took 62, where's the 90?
The 90 was added to the row that got deleted, the cell that got deleted, to become 206, to then add to this to become 268.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so the two, okay, all right. All right.
I mean, I think we.
That was really impressive, because I was not, okay, so now we're at, instead of 925, we're at 1,014,000.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I had. Oh, okay. But you just played with the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Pencil, number 2, and paper. Damn it. Okay.
So yeah. So but there's some this 52,000 is already taken, I believe, as Homework told me today. That's not that doesn't exist.
Okay. That's already in the numbers when you say it doesn't exist? Okay.
It's double counting.
Okay.
Okay, so here you've got some number for road and fire tender, some number for road and truck repair. I think these are probably all real, actually.
Yeah, that 84 is getting lower too, right? Because you guys have first paid for something of that.
The ambulance,
That's
135 of the debt will be, it was 137.5, I think, for the ambulance
Did
total.
you say the well's going to be ARPA funds too?
Yes, but he
Yeah.
wants to keep that on there
But
until.
this is this is not the debt total. This is debt servicing. So we have to figure out what that
Right.
number really is. So it's all doable. Once we have the
It's all
numbers.
doable. Where are we, so where does this?
Now.
So where does this put us?
I don't know yet. I think until I get the numbers back from Mike, then I can run the numbers.
But we're under, but you're gonna add 200,000 to the, debt exclusion. So as we add the debt, you know.
The debt exclusion was 770 in the model right now.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to go to more like 900 actually.
Right, because of last night.
Because of last, well, yeah, we were at 770, even assuming like 116,000 from last night. So
Yeah.
I think that's not a little bit from what we had, and I think what I think we'll get for the school excluded debt is higher than I originally thought. So I'm waiting to get confirmation of that from Hilltop. So I think we have about 900,000 of excluded debt.
And right now we have 7.
We have 770 right in the model right now. So there's 130,000 extra of excluded debt, which
We should,
Would be helpful.
is buffer.
we should really have them add that excluded debt into that table.
You
from
said
the
that
school.
already, yeah.
I know, because they're the best source of excluded debt.
Yes.
That we have.
Yeah. I'm trying to get a call with the Melissa there tomorrow actually to talk.
And are you
directly
keeping
to-
Emily in this loop?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you get hit by a bus, Emily needs to know, and vice
Yeah.
versa,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We need to make
Hilltop.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
Hilltop, but then we're starting again, like,
Yeah.
we need to, it'd just be nice to make sure that there's a couple people that know what this is.
Yeah.
And it is the treasurer's job to deal with the debt, so.
Yeah. And I'm trying to keep John in the loop as well as much as I can as well. So.
Yeah, he looks like he's in the loop.
I'm in the, can you blame me?
He looks a little loopy, actually.
Look at this spreadsheet.
That's where I'm at.
I'll just break this cell out.
We'll just consolidate this and we'll come up with a number. All right, so will we have this by next week?
Yeah.
These numbers really, I mean, I'm getting concerned because we seem to be, we're adding here, we're adding a little bit here, knife cut by 1,000.
Yeah, no, I'm
death by 1,000 cuts.
I'm not relaxed about this because I think we're in that territory of like $1 million of sort of leeway that could easily go
Yeah.
any direction.
Right,
So-
because-
So you're not relaxed with $1 million of leeway?
No.
Not until it's locked in.
No,
right?
because that's like,
Quite
if you,
relaxed with $1 million of leeway.
yeah, but we won't be relaxed until the assessor locks in his tax numbers.
Well, we won't know until after town. Well,
We won't know that until October.
Well, after town meeting.
But
yeah,
we need
so-
to be, so like, $1 million over is where I think I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not less than $1 million on that levy.
You were
It's too
looking for
late
more at the
now.
time. You were saying 1.2.
It's too late now, we can't do anything about it. It's not like
The
we
bond
can.
was coming up to that,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, my comfort level is lower, but What do I know?
Yeah, we can't do anything about it.
Well, no, I
We
mean,
can't run
if
an
Hilltop
override
come
now.
back tomorrow and say, that 700,000, oh, you can't count that towards excluded debt, we're completely screwed.
What do you mean you can't count that? We already know we can count that, don't we?
I'm 99% certain we can, but if they come back and say we can't, for some weird municipal accounting reason, right, I mean, I'm not a municipal tax expert.
So here's what I'm gonna say to you. Once we figure this out, we need to hand this over to the professionals, because
Yeah.
this should be coming from the town administration.
Yeah.
This should not be coming from Tony sitting at home calling Hilltop. This should be coming from the treasurer, the finance director, and the town administrator. That's where this should be coming from. That's how it used to come to us in a model. It used to come, we got a financial model from the accountant. So if it was wrong, it wasn't on us.
But it wasn't very good, actually.
I think they need to do it, and we can check those numbers.
Yeah.
That's where we need to land. We need to be checking numbers that come to us. We shouldn't be digging for numbers to get them right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's my feeling.
No, I totally agree
We're
with
volunteers.
you, but we're dealing with the situation we have,
Yeah.
which is...
And you're doing a great job,
Yeah,
but I just,
yeah.
let's get to a point where we can hand this stuff off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we really don't know anything till next week.
No, but I wanted to sort of flag up with you what has been
It could've been
happening
worse.
around this today.
Say again?
It could have been worse, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, it could be worse. Maybe you could just quick email tomorrow that says, we're good, like Hilltop did not take our $800,000 debt exclusion. You know?
Yeah, well, I had a moment today where I thought, oh, is that debt all just been paid off suddenly, you know, or something like, you know. But I went back and looked at Acton Town meeting, minutes, from 2009, to see how the debt was split out, because our own town meeting minutes weren't very comprehensive, actually.
They're not. About that kind of stuff.
But Acton was pretty good, actually. It explained how it's been split between different towns, and it's going to be a 30-year bond and all this sort of stuff. So I felt more comfortable then having done that. But it's taken a bit
So
of
I do have
effort.
a question though. If the debt exclusion number, we're not taking that $11 million and adding it to the debt service. We're not
No,
doing
'cause we
anything with
pay-
that.
we pay for the
because
assessment.
That comes through the assessment. So
Yeah.
you're just taking the exclusion number and using that on the top
It
part
it
of this.
seems that we're allowed, we get to take the exclusion number.
Okay.
I guess the exclusion number, there's no debt exclusion for the school system.
Right.
So
So
that
Acton
debt
takes
exclusion
theirs and we
gets
take
their
ours.
share, we get
Okay.
our share,
Okay.
and add it to our debt exclusion.
Yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
All right.
so yeah, so.
Yeah, but we're not budgeting on the other side. I just want to make sure we were budgeting in these retirement debt numbers. Yeah, we
Alright.
need to clean up this
Yeah.
whole thing.
Okay, it's getting late. We haven't looked at the warrant yet.
Not looked at the warrant. When do we have to have this freaking thing voted? Like, do we have a deadline on this?
Yeah, it's like next March the 20th, I think.
Well,
I've been
she
told.
might have to extend our deadline, because
Yeah.
that's 45 articles that need to be voted. And we
Yeah.
don't even have final language on some.
I was about to say, we don't have final language on like 10.
Yeah, at least. So I
So-
think.
Can we do a consent
Meeting-
vote?
No,
Can
we
do
can't do a consent vote.
agenda,
So
No.
next week's
But
meeting,
then
we
we have to
should
vote and
focus
then
on
still
that, I
write
think.
recommendations
too.
too, right?
I think
Yeah.
next week's meeting, hopefully this model doesn't take us quite so long. You can kind of come back with answers on this debt stuff, but I think we need to focus on that warrant.
Yeah, I feel the
because we have to
budget was sort of pretty close on, right, in terms of,
Yeah.
the numbers.
Yeah, what's the print date?
Yeah, are they gonna have all the answers for the warrant?
Well,
'Cause,
they
like-
have to at some point soon. I don't know
But-
I don't have the schedule.
Yeah.
Kelly
I
did send
guess
it to all of us.
my point is like, unless they just want the FinCom recommends, like, we need
Well,
time
if
to
we don't
write
have,
it.
if we don't have language, we can't vote, or we can say that FinCom defers to town
Right.
meeting because we didn't have the language. I mean, we gotta put it out there that,
True,
you know,
that's right, I forgot
can
about
you
that.
ask
I
Mike-
don't wanna do that, but.
yeah, on all the articles not planning related, do we have final language on all those articles?
That would be a question, for Kelly, right?
Can you ask Mike
Yeah.
Just see what's locked for next week.
to see what's left for
Yeah,
next week?
I don't want the longest town meeting ever, cause we're reading our statements up there.
Right, exactly. And if we don't take a vote,
We're
stuff
writing.
can't go on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right, so there's a ton of these 45 articles, probably ends up being like 5 consent agendas
Oh,
and then a
yeah.
few scat. If we don't take a vote, they can't do that. So, and the select board, in their wisdom, took votes on everything last week. And they, you know, all their votes are contingent on like, well, maybe there's a change of language. I'm not doing that. So,
I don't want to vote just to re-vote next week when the language
Right.
changes.
yeah, well,
I don't want to have to keep track of that either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. So
So
can
next
you?
week will be a long meeting, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're gonna be in the other room.
We'll
and
be in
I'm
the other
gonna
room, there'll be no
for that.
TV, there'll
And
be
we
no-
won't have
no
any
Zoom.
guests, right? We don't have anyone scheduled for next week.
Nobody's scheduled next
So
week.
we're just gonna head down, do the.
Clandestine voting, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be on Zoom still?
No,
No? Oh, okay.
No Zoom, no technology, whatever.
Wow.
it's just gonna be us.
We're just gonna
Yeah.
lock
Just
in.
Open
take a
meeting, everyone
Pencil.
come from the
Us
public.
and some four-leaf clovers.
Number 2, pencil and paper.
Bring your pencils. And,
And your recommendations?
well, I think it may be useful for us to look at the warrant now we have, and those who are liaisons for committees, the ones that we should, you know, that you're responsible for, and be thinking about, you know, way.
Okay, and who said they were gonna help me?
Me.
You. So what I'm gonna do is go through it. If some of these are easy, I'm just gonna say FinCom recommends. Let me see how many of those I have and then how many I have to write.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
because-
but presumably the liaisons would write, like.
Oh, well, I'm the liaison to the
Yeah.
fire department, which has a ton of articles, and
yeah,
the
well,
planning board.
He's police, right?
Yeah, so, right, he's police. But John said he would help me with mine.
He's
if I
help with
needed
some
it.
of yours, okay, right.
Yeah,
And then-
because I've got a
You've
lot.
got all the big ones,
Yeah,
and a lot of them.
I can take open spaces recreation because it overlaps
That's
with
CPC.
conservation.
That's CPC.
that's
Oh,
CPC,
okay.
so that's,
Plus,
yeah.
those are only,
That's
those
Michelle.
are pretty big
Yep.
at this point.
And are you, can you add to your list for Mike, are we gonna talk about like eliminating the funding for one of the 3 town meetings we have in FY '27? Since the planning board, I meant to ask her that tonight, planning board's bringing 10 items in front of us. Like, are they gonna have anything for the fall? I mean, we've funded that. We funded,
So you say no full town meeting?
well, that's what I'm asking, if,
Yeah.
you know, it was supposed to be for planning board, they've decided to
Yeah.
add to this one. So we funded for annual and the fall and a special for the fire station. We leave the fire station one, which they can bring other stuff to, obviously, it's not just fire station, but leave one funded and get rid of the third one.
And did we fund those all for Regency?
No, there's, one for Regency and
For-
then one for Blanchard, I think.
Yeah, one for annual, or was it the agency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say,
And I thought we, no, okay, I'm thinking next year, never mind, it's just late, my brain's
it
fried
is
out.
next year. We're talking about next year.
Yeah, no, I
Oh, no.
I was trying to think of when we were doing extra in
You
case
go,
there
you
was
go.
fire station or overrides and follow-ups to that, but,
Well, that's for next year, but I think we funded 3 of them
yeah,
and, you know,
okay.
so. Okay, so we're gonna do warrants next week with recommendations from everybody.
So, okay, so let's do minutes of the last meeting. Get back to the stop again. Minutes of March the 3rd. Are there any comments on the minutes?
No,
Nope.
I don't know.
I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Seconded,
All in favour?
Aye.
aye,
Okay, citizens' concerns.
thanks, Manuel.
I'm a citizen, I have a concern that I'm exhausted, 2 nights out late is gonna kill me.
It's a different kind of late night, I don't know.
Oh, it's only 8:45.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not, oh, yeah. I wish.
Back on town meeting, I did send out another iteration of the town meeting presentation.
I saw that. I think we need to vote the articles first.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm just chipping away.
I mean,
that's all.
it's,
Yeah.
It
just needs a number.
is that the presentation, or are you talking
Yeah.
about the presentation, or are you talking about the back of the
I'm talking about
warrant?
the back of the warrant.
report.
Yeah,
Which I
the
need-
report.
which we need to
FinCom
have,
warrant.
right,
Yes,
yeah.
gotcha.
So that is similar to what we've always had,
Yes.
and we just need to
You're
update
using a
numbers.
template,
I'm using last year, and I'm changing.
Yeah.
And last year
Yeah.
goes back like 50
Find or
years.
replace
Like it's-
6 to 7.
I was hoping for a little more creative flair this year.
I did
It's
notice
your
one
turn.
super
We'll- yeah.
tiny minor.
And it's your turn. You can be as creative as you want, Tony says.
Order.
Yeah.
Tony, there was one tiny minor thing in the report of the finance committee under
Yeah.
operating budget, the third sentence, FY '27 operating budget is X increase over, should that be FY '26?
Yes, it should. Good call.
Bada bing, bada boom.
You see that?
Nice job.
So first page, operating budget, third line, the proposed FY '27 should be an increase over FY '26. It says 25.
So tell me which page you're on?
Oh, the first page.
First page, which paragraph?
Go down.
Operating budget,
Yeah.
about halfway down.
Operating
Yeah,
budget.
the freestanding sentence.
The proposed
Oh,
FY twenty-seven
yeah,
operating
sorry,
budget.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah, the proposed, yeah, right about
Oh,
there.
of over 26, yeah.
right. Okay.
I should have done a copy and paste to all 25 to 26s really.
Are these increases correct, or are these from last year?
These are all last, well, X, you mean?
On page 2, not X, you have percentages in there. I just,
Yeah, no, they're wrong. Yeah,
okay,
no,
do we want to
yeah.
delete those so that we make sure
But you
that
want us
this?
to review this, right?
So we'll just take those out.
That was a test.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I could contribute something to tonight's conversation.
Yeah, so anyway, so, yeah, any comments gratefully taken. I mean, it's basically, yes, it's a variant of last year.
Hang on.
Hey.
We may be gone before you, but if we're not, whoever has the key, would you be sure to lock that door?
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So you're still going?
Huh?
You're still going?
We're going for hopefully not more than 5 minutes.
Me too. All right, tell my husband, I'll see him at home.
Okay. And then the presentation I'll have to work on later, I think. We're going to do that after the.
Yeah, I think the only thing is to start thinking about, maybe we can talk about it next week, really high level. What do we want to convey this year, right? Every year we kind of do a theme. I really think that we need to convey debt and override this year,
I
but
was gonna say, buckle up.
Doom
Yeah.
and gloom.
no. We got to convey it in a way that's not doom and gloom,
No, I
but
think-
something to think about for
Well,
next
I
year.
think the
Reserve
theme
confidence.
is
Yeah,
that
right.
the theme is really long-term strategy, actually. It's really more about the fact that, you know, we have this trajectory of
We
increasing
know
the
it's
budget
coming.
year on year in a consistent fashion, and that we want to continue that. And that's the responsible way to sort of manage things.
Mhm.
But we're up against this levy limit, which is not reflective of reality, really. And the idea that even if we're consistent, you know, we're coming up against that, and you know, we're coming up against the next year. So that's the idea. Is we're trying to sort of we're trying to smooth out any ups and downs. We're trying to keep things.
We got our eyes on the horizon. We're taking a couple steps ahead
Yeah.
in order to prevent the catastrophe that would
Yeah.
happen if we didn't take action.
I would say that we should not bias ourselves towards an override at this point.
You know,
Next year.
for next year.
Don't, because it will have momentum if it's not.
We did it this year, and it went the other way. I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying
Look, I mean, we've got
it could happen again that way.
We've got a debt hurdle, there's a spike in that debt table. The first 2 years are big hits, because that's the way debt payments work. But after that, it goes down. The slope is in our favor.
Yeah, but those
Two more years where it's,
those lines are still gonna.
So I will
cross.
say, I think, I agree with you, because I think last year we got a lot of momentum, and then everybody was almost like, oh, deflated when we didn't need an override. I'm with you, we have to keep it open. I think also our override, whether we have one or not, is really dependent on what happens with the school budget and Acton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we don't, you know, we asked Tori, and she kind of stumbled over, Acton's not talking about it.
That-
I have
mean,
a hard
that-
time believing Acton's not talking about it, but, you know.
That
Not,
that
they
was
should be.
profound. Where it's just like, oh no, we're expecting basically this to continue, this trend. You know, it's kind
No,
of what I
I'm
was
talking
hearing
about
as far as.
what's Acton doing with their levy, their limit. They're at 1.5. They have a $100 million budget. That's a rounding error. Like, right? I mean, we're at $1 million and we're all like, ooh, God, that's a little squishy and
Yeah.
uncomfortable. They're at 1.5 in their
I
levy.
didn't know, yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
I thought you were
think
talking about
budget-
their trends because like
No.
we're hearing that you know
Yeah, that would be
this
like a
isn't like oh we're going to
700.
reset next year everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Everything's continuing to
Right.
be
Continue
more
to
expensive
go
than
up.
we expect.
It's
So
not
that
a
school
given
budget's
that
going to
we
keep
need-
taking
it's not
off.
given that we need an override next year, but you're right. I mean, I think it does. The school budget is
Will
a
dictate
huge
where
factor.
we go.
It's a huge
Yeah.
factor in that.
Right. I mean,
And
we
then also we've done this year. We have managed to use free cash, which we may have some next year. I don't know. You know, but
for the articles.
For
But
the
you know
articles.
what, we can also, again, the other thing we have in our pocket is we can say, if you need a new truck, we're gonna do a debt exclusion on that
But-
and take a vote.
Yeah, but, so.
And that's how we do the debt on that.
And that's part of the reason why I'm not for an override, is because you've already told the taxpayers, look, we're gonna take this out of that equation, but you still have to pay for it. But if you do that and an override, you're saying, we're raising it and then we're actually gonna put on top of it even more. So that's That's what's happening to the taxpayer. When you combine.
But we don't necessarily
Right,
use
but-
the levy when we raise the
So, but that nobody believes
ceiling,
that. You
right?
know how many people
You're
this
doing it
year,
specifically so you can raise the levy.
and do you know how
If
many
needed.
people said to me this year, because the idea was to raise a levy by whatever, $10 million, whatever number was being floated out of there. I was pulled aside by a number of people who said, you can't do that. Like, I won't vote for that because you could spend the $10 million in a year. Yes, technically we could.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but we won't. Well, what happens if you all get hit by a bus and somebody comes in and takes over and they all want to spend money? They're not wrong. It's a tough, that's a tougher sell than just we need an operational override and a little cushion. But like a big cushion's a lot harder to sell. So it's like all that stuff is stuff we have to talk about.
For some people, a big credit limit is a huge liability, and for other people, it's just buffer and safety.
The
and
majority
the perception
or-
is different.
Government?
Mm.
What do
It
you think
is.
Government is just people.
Oh, all right. Take off your rose-colored glasses.
All right.
Just people, and look what people are doing.
People are bad.
People are bad. Exactly. Period.
Okay, with more to go yet, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Tony's like, I have.
Okay, all right. Sorry, go ahead.
We'll
Listen to
do,
God here, Tony. Sorry.
committee reports.
Okay, committee reports. Does anyone have anything? Oh, can I do mine?
Go ahead.
Fire station! Yay! And I'm done. That's it. That's my committee report.
You know, Becky was taking my fire sign down, fire
Yeah.
station sign down.
Yeah.
We still need to, there's a vote coming up.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
week.
She said, I
Wait,
talked to her,
wait,
she
wait,
said
wait,
she's gonna
wait,
leave some
shh,
out.
shh. We cannot be talking about this at this table. That is a yes group thing. There is
Oh,
definitely an
sorry.
election coming up. We
Okay.
can't be talking about anything that has to do with anything outside
you're
of,
absolutely
there is an
right.
election coming up
Yeah.
on
There is-
Tuesday.
Can I
And
say there is an election coming up?
yes, and
There
the
is an
over,
election
and
coming
the
up.
Thanks for
debt
reminding us about that
exclusion
election that's coming up.
only works, we have to ratify the vote for last night.
Yes.
That's what we can talk about.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, you're right.
Okay.
That's what he meant to say, is the election's coming up.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
What I meant to say was.
John, any committee reports?
Nothing, I'll have it next week, with sustainability, and I'll catch up with our committee.
Michelle?
And nothing. for
None this week, waiting for CC.
Okay.
Nothing.
John?
Just the complete redistricting of the school system, but.
Let's talk about that for a bit.
That was quite the
Continuous
meeting.
emails we get from a consultant about
Did
another.
you get my
thing.
email about the
Yes.
PowerPoint?
Yes,
All right, so
yes,
they
yes, yes.
iterated 2 more on that, so we're at steps, options 4 and 5. Okay, so what we're talking about is playing with
Okay, hold on.
there's 3 zones, 3 schools, so what we're playing with is where those 2 lines go. To balance all of the many dimensions that we're considering to trying to optimize for our school districts, support our school district and our schools. They're going to come back at the next meeting. I have the dates. Basically, the next iteration, I believe, should be the semi-finalist one, and then the very final one will be right after that, and we should vote on that.
And it was interesting after that whole presentation,
Which one are you talking about? Last week's?
last week's.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I did, yeah. of course.
When all of a sudden,
Peter?
Peter put on the table, we're not gonna have choice, but we are gonna have choice.
See, I didn't like that idea.
I didn't like that either,
Because it's just confusing it, or, you
it
know,
just
if you want.
drags out the chaos.
Wait, what does
yeah,
that
no-
mean?
we never
So
had-
what he
I
wants
didn't-
So it means
So,
if you
yeah.
Yeah,
live,
it's like a buffer zone, like, so it.
you could still go wherever you
He
want
was
to
still
go.
flushing this idea of the afternoon that the meeting was, and he fully admitted that. So I think there's a population of people who are frustrated in that I'm in Boxborough, but I go to school in Acton, or I'm in Acton and I go to school in Boxborough.
Right.
And the Boxborough people won't be allowed to do that right off the bat.
Okay.
Because the utilization of the school,
Sure.
Blanchard
Yeah.
is very underutilized,
Right.
relatively speaking. So
right
you're
now,
gonna get-
if we do
You gotta
this.
take all of Boxborough period to start, and then we're gonna start, the question is then how much of Acton goes to Boxborough?
Sure.
So what Peter was trying to do is for that population that, let's just say in Boxborough that wants to go to Acton schools, you would be on a list to say, you know, because you're doing it now, you might get some type of preference to do it next year and for so on. I think that's like one of the iterations that
That's
he's
just
trying
choice,
to
I
do.
guess.
Sounds like
Versus-
choice with extra
right.
steps.
Right, it's,
Yes.
Ian, the
And steps
problem
cost money,
is,
don't they?
Yeah.
He's trying to make a segment of the population happy, which that's basically his job, to do that across many constituencies. But, I just saw it as another layer of complexity that, you know, what are we doing? We just came from this.
Yeah,
We
wasn't
just
the whole-
voted this down.
Because there were people who are like closer to Boardwalk,
Yes.
but their district to go to Parker, and they're like, why? I can
Yeah, I
walk
mean,
that way,
And
and you're
then,
making me go
and the
that
same
way.
thing with the people on
And
the
vice
edge
versa.
of Acton that they need to take to bring over to Boxborough.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go to an Acton school. So I felt like, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, no. But, I mean, and I think he got a little pushback because, again, it was, we're taking away choice, but now we're giving it to you. The other issue is, when those families are done, how are we gonna keep replacing those kids at Blanchard to keep that utilization up, right? If you have a neighborhood, presumably families move in and more kids come in.
We're catering to right now instead of putting in like a long-term
Right,
solution here, which is
And-
my
and-
concern with choice in the first place, because it just like does not equitably distribute people or resources, which screws over certain schools and families.
It will for this iteration when they do all the math, but to Maria's point, then what happens to those families? Where's that kid gonna go? The next
Right.
family in, right?
Right.
Now all your ratios are gonna be all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Right.
you're not going anywhere for 4 to 6 years once
Right,
your kids are
because,
out.
because the Acton kids that are in Boxborough now could be coming from, North Acton.
And then they
Whereas
go
we're
to-
talking about taking a section of Acton, they're talking about taking
Yeah.
a section of West Acton and sending them to Blanchard.
And
there's
then
a
all
way
those
to
kids go to RJ
It's-
Gray and
It sounded
high
like
school
option
for 6
5
years.
was the one that they were closest to, so there's,
Mm-hmm.
if you see the deck, there's the fifth iteration, so it's just
Mhm.
there that has the most momentum. They're probably gonna tweak, as of right now, it sounds like they're gonna tweak that one and propose that. That's an early assessment, but there may be a sixth one, who knows?
I watched that and I felt like, I almost felt bad for the consultant, because he just kept trying to say, that might solve your problem this year, but long-term, this is not gonna solve the utilization problem for that reason. And he just kept saying it over and over again. I think he's doing as best he can
I
with a
think
lot of
he's-
constraints. I think he's doing,
I
he
think
really
he's
is
doing
doing
very
well. I think so too. But you can see, I think there's a level of frustration, like, we just need to move on with this. I need direction, we need to get this done.
And the zones do look wacky, I mean,
Yeah.
just because of the density.
It's just,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
there are
like
neighborhoods and then
Also-
there's
and
just
then, like 2 feet
3
away,
for
they're
zoning.
going to the other
The
school.
people who have the time, money, and resources to fight to get into certain schools are not the people that we should be worrying about. Like, this should be an equitable, long-term thing.
You can only, so that's what they tried to do, the way they divided Acton, is understanding.
Like the socioeconomic impact of everything.
They
like,
tried to do that with
Oh, yeah.
option 5. So, right,
They
I think,
tried to do that with all of
which
them.
is why they're all crazy, but see how the green goes like that, and then there's a parallel blue? That allows them to have that sort of diversity on every level.
Yeah, but
choices.
choice just blows that whole
Right,
thing up.
right, exactly, so
Yeah,
that's
That's
why,
just not fair. And you can't say that we're distributing resource, like, it just,
yeah.
I'll step
Yeah.
down, but I just think that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no,
So,
Okay,
that's where they're.
okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
seconded.
All in favour?
Aye.
Okay, great.
Meeting ended at 9:56 PM.
Lord.